Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto trained by female shinigami and angel. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Elredar Skylance and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. When one life ends, another begins. It was a beautiful day in Konohagakure. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and all just felt right in the world to one Naruto Uzumaki. With a smile that shined brighter than the sun, the newly graduated genin practically skipped out the academy doors with three thoughts running through his mind. 1. He was awesome. 2. He needed Ichiraku ramen. The food of the gods, and may all who say otherwise burn like the heretics that they are, and 3. Now that they were on the same team, maybe Sakura Haruno, the smartest kunoichi in his class who also happened to be his crush, would finally agree to go on a date with him. Naruto had been trying for years to gain the girl's affections, but every time, the pincat would rebuff him. However, today would be different. Today would be the day. He was feeling on top of the world and nothing could bring his spirits down. So, with that in mind. Hey Sakura-chan. Now that we're on the same team, would you go out with me? The boy casually asked his crush as he followed her outside. Surely, she would have time, right? After all, their now former academy instructor Iruka Yamino had just informed them that they had a couple months before their teams began active duty. Apparently, there had been a recent attack on the daimyo and as a result, the man had requested for some of Konoha's top shinobi to help protect him and eliminate the threat. This, unfortunately, meant that most of the new team's Junin captains instructors wouldn't be around until they could ensure the daimyo's safety. However, on the plus side, this also meant that he had 2 entire months to kill besides training and stuff. And what better way to fill that time than going out on a date? And besides, even if she refused, they could still just try and get better acquainted. After all, they were on the same team now. Unfortunately, Sakura wasn't thinking along the same lines as Naruto. In fact, aside from getting on the same team as Sasuke Uchiha, proving that true love does conquer all, Shanro. The girl had had a horrible day. It had started when she overslept and, thus, did not have the time to apply her makeup so that she could look good for Sasuke. Then, she realized that unless she skipped breakfast and left right away, she would be late for the team announcements and also lose her chance to sit next to the Uchiha, something her rival, Ino, would no doubt take advantage of being the vicious bitch that she was. And Sakura refused to let the Yamanaka get the best of her in anything. Unfortunately, once she got to class, it was as if the gods themselves were trying to make her life miserable as she witnessed the most horrible of incidents. It had been so horrible, so terrible, so unforgivingly wretched that her heart had shattered and somewhere deep in her soul, something shriveled up and dyed her puke. She wasn't sure which. What happened, you ask? Well, she witnessed Sasuke's first kiss stolen by Naruto. By Naruto. That kiss was supposed to be hers, damn it. That action had immediately put her on end with Naruto, so when he, in his oh so ignorant and stupid mind, pranced up to her and asked her out again, well, needless to say, she snapped. Would you just shut up, you stupid annoying useless shinobi wannabe? You've asked me 1,000 times already and I've rejected you every single fucking time. Why don't you just get it into your thick head that I don't want to go out with you and no girl in their right mind would ever even consider going out with someone as ugly and pathetically weak as you. Sakura huffed in exasperation and left to track down, cough red. Stalk cough, her other teammate. While she did feel better after venting her frustration, a part of her couldn't help but think on whether she had been too harsh. She eventually shrugged off the concern for her blonde teammate and focused on catching up to Sasuke, confident that Naruto would bounce back. He did that every single time she rejected him, so why would this be any different? Scene break. It hurts. This feeling, it hurt so much. Why? Why did she say those things? Did she really mean them? Naruto felt his heart shatter. His elation from today's events disappeared while what little pride he genuinely possessed was utterly crushed. He had never felt so low, nor could he stop the negative thoughts that now ran rampant in his head, questioning his self-worth and Sakura's claims. Was he really that bad a shinobi? Was he truly that despicable and ugly that no girl would ever go out with him? That one truly hurt Sakura had never been so harsh out of all the times he had asked her out. Aggressive, frustrating, and even a little mean, yes, but never so cruel as to say that no girl in their right mind would go out with him. But then, what girl would willing go out with a kyuubi vessel? It was something Naruto had never thought of before, but now, he realized just how dangerous it would be for a girl to show interest in him, especially with how negative and, occasionally, violent the villagers could be. Closing his eyes, Naruto bowed his head and valiantly fought the tears that threatened to fall. He had not cried for years from the hate of the villagers, and he would not cry now. He was stronger than that despite the hurt he felt and despite the depressing thoughts that refused to leave his mind. Naruto. Startled, the blond boy looked up to see his favorite teacher walking up to him, a concerned look on his face. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Putting on his best fake smile, which failed miserably if the frown on Iruka's face was any indication, he said, "Of course I am, Iruka-sensei. Who do you think I am? I'm going to be Hokage someday, after all." The scarred Chunin wasn't convinced. "Naruto, I saw and heard everything." Naruto stiffened. His mask crumbled, revealing his desolate expression to one of the few people who really cared about him. Iruka-sensei, is she right? Am I really that terrible a shinobi? Do you think I'm ugly?" Iruka's heart cried out upon hearing the misery in his favorite student's voice. He immediately crouched down so that they were eye to eye and spoke in a soothing tone. "I am going to be totally honest with you, Naruto. What Sakura said and how she said it was unforgivable. I believe that you are a great person and that anyone would be lucky to have you in their life. I also think you have the potential to be a fantastic shinobi. After all, you saved me last night, didn't you?" Naruto smiled hesitantly. "But can you be better? Are there things you should work on?" "Absolutely." "What do you mean? How do you think the Hokage got to where he is today? He trained. He never stopped learning." "But, Iruka-sensei," Naruto protested. "I do train. And I learned the Kage Bunshin last night." "Yes, you did. But how well do you know your new jutsu? Do you know all its strengths and weaknesses? What about its limits? Its variations and uses? Did you know that a Kage Bunshin can be dispelled after one good hit?" Naruto's eyes widened. He had not known that. After all, the only time he had used the technique was back in his fight against Mizuki, and the traitor never got the chance to fight back, let alone disperse one of his clones. "Did you know that whenever a clone dispels, anything it learns mentally will be transferred back to you?" That surprised the Jinchuriki even more. "There's a lot more about that technique, or any technique for that matter, that you need to know before you can really say you've mastered it. This is just one of the reasons why you must never stop training or learning if you want to get stronger." I think I understand, Iruka-sensei." "Good. That's all I ask." "Ah no, is there anything else I should work on?" Iruka smiled. "No matter how strong a shinobi becomes, there is always something that can be improved on. For you, I'd recommend working on your Bukijutsu, your chakra control, and especially your Taijutsu. I don't know why you chose not to learn the academy style, but your own fighting style looks more suited for a brawler, and that won't cut it in a fight with a shinobi." Naruto made a face. "But the academy style is so boring. And it always felt uncomfortable to me." Now there was a head scratcher. As far as Iruka knew, there weren't many Taijutsu styles available at the shinobi library, at least none he could think would fit the blonde. "Well, perhaps you can go ask the Hokage. I'm sure he has a couple scrolls on Taijutsu styles you can learn." Naruto nodded. It was worth a shot at least. "I would also recommend you getting a different uniform." "What's wrong with what I'm wearing?" the boy asked, looking down at his clothes. "The professional should have a uniform that's more practical and not orange." But orange is awesome." "Dear Kami," he actually looked offended. "Orange isn't practical for a shinobi, at least not for one in Hai no Kuni. You would easily be spotted in the forests here, and shinobi are supposed to be able to remain unseen. Maybe in Tsuchi no Kuni, it could work, but certainly not here." A dark cloud formed over Naruto's bowed head at the diss toward the awesomeness that is orange, much to Iruka's amusement. "Just think about it, Naruto. And think about all the shinobi you've seen in Konoha, the ones you thought were strong, and ask yourself what are they doing that you aren't right now?" Now that was an interesting question, one that Naruto couldn't help but mull over his head. Seeing this and feeling satisfied that he had not only helped someone he thought of as a little brother deal with an extremely harsh rejection, but that he had also helped set Naruto on a path that would only make him stronger, the academy instructor stood with a smile. "Now, I have to go, but promise me you won't let what Sakura said bother you anymore, okay?" The Jinchuriki frowned, but nodded nonetheless as he waved goodbye to the scarred Chunin. Sighing, he turned on the spot and began walking toward the Hokage monument. It was his favorite spot to relax and reflect on his life. One thing was for sure, he had a lot to think about. Scene break. "It's strange," Naruto thought, sitting atop the Yondaime Hokage's head as he looked over the village that hated him. "Even after everything this village has done to me, I still want to protect it." He didn't really understand why he felt this way. On some level, Naruto believed that he could actually feel the pain and suffering the villagers felt whenever catastrophe struck, like the night of the Uchiha massacre or the attempted Hika kidnapping. And especially on the days of his birthday, the anniversary of the Kyuubi attack. On those days' nights, when the emotions of the villagers ran high with tears and sorrow, the desire to protect them from harm, from the forces that would inflict such sorrow and misery upon them, shined brightest in him. He also wanted their recognition and acknowledgement. He did not want to be scorned anymore, he wanted to be seen as a valued member of Konoha, not as hated vermin. Perhaps that was why he had initially pursued Sakura with such fervor. Looking back through his memories, Naruto realized that somewhere along the line, he had reasoned with himself that if a girl as smart and pretty as Sakura could learn to like him, then he would eventually gain the villagers' respect and interest. She had also been the first person his age to be nice to him, even if that did disappear rather quickly. That, and the frustratingly stubborn part of him simply would not accept defeat, especially against Sasuke. Now, though, he knew why the villagers hated him. They saw him as the Kyuubi no Imko. Because of that, Naruto knew it wasn't about getting the village's recognition anymore. What he wanted now was to no longer be viewed as a monster. He wanted the village to see him as Naruto Uzumaki. If I want the village to see me as more than just a demon sealed inside me, I need to change. I need to change how they see me. And he sighed. I should probably stop chasing after Sakura. With everything that had happened today, turning over a new leaf with the ending of his crush to Sakura seemed like a good start. After all, Sakura had made it perfectly clear that it would be a waste of her time. But should he search for and pursue other girls or give up entirely? Naruto shook his head slightly at the thought. Now that he thought about it, he had never really even thought about the kind of girls he liked. He wanted girls that were smart, pretty, but most importantly, mature enough that they would look past the sealed Kyuubi and see him for who he truly was. In short, he wanted someone who acknowledged and appreciated him. Unfortunately, very few people fit into that category, and none of them, save 3 or so, were women. He knew that some of the older female shinobi accepted him, but he doubted they would ever see him in a romantic light. And, let's face facts, Naruto knew he wasn't the most attractive person. Sakura had pounded that opinion, quite literally in some cases, into his head. He had heard Sakura and Ino discussing what they believed, his horrible fashion sense on multiple occasions, not that he could fix that, since no shop would sell anything to him. Besides, the orange outfit had gotten him attention. A lot of it. After all, it practically screamed look at me. And when he was younger, getting attention meant far more to him than his grades, hence why he started playing pranks and continued wearing the orange eyesore. Playing pranks had also hampered his skills, with the exception of stealth and trap making. Naruto knew that despite defeating Mizuki, his skills were far from top-notch. His 3 failures at graduating was a testament to that. Hell, he still couldn't create a basic bunshin, and that was considered one of the most basic techniques in the shinobi world. All in all, Naruto could see that he wasn't someone a girl would stop and look at. And until he could fully change himself into someone worth respecting, he realized it would probably be best to just give up on women for the time being. And instead, focus on becoming a true shinobi of Konoha. But where to start? Thinking back on what Iruka had said, Naruto tried to recall all the strong shinobi he had ever met. The ones that stood out in his mind were the Hokage, obviously, and a few Chunin and Anbu he had interacted with. What did they have that he didn't? Experience. That was the first and most obvious thing he could think of. But it was also the one thing he couldn't get until he was put on active duty. He also knew that they trained constantly. Every day they weren't on a mission or injured, they were out training and improving their skills. What did he do? Goof off, play pranks, and boast about how he would become Hokage without ever putting any real effort into his training. That was not something a respectable shinobi would do. He would definitely be changing that, but what else was there? I don't know. Maybe I should ask Gigi. Yeah. That sounded like a good idea. Well, after he got a bite to eat and tried changing his outfit. Even though the Sandaime has and always will be his surrogate Gigi, the man was still the Hokage, so showing a little decorum wouldn't hurt. Besides, he was trying to be more professional. Better to start sooner than later. Scene break. Orange. Orange. And what do you know, more orange. He had absolutely nothing that wasn't orange save for a few shirts, shorts, and pajamas. Naruto also noted that aside from the jumpsuit, he didn't have anything that would be considered practical for a shinobi. The several t-shirts and shorts he had simply weren't designed with durability in mind. They'd probably fall apart after a single training session, if that. His only option would be to buy new clothes, and that alone made him worry. None of the shopkeepers had let him buy anything from them and had promptly kicked him out, some literally. Perhaps, some of the shinobi-only stores would let him in. He had a reasonable amount of money saved up. Naruto quickly left his home in search of a proper store that sold ninja equipment. Predictably, the first couple stores immediately kicked him out the second they saw him. But as he approached the third store, Naruto had a thought: what if he looked like someone else? It was worth a shot. Enj no Jutsu, transformation technique. In Naruto's place was a totally nondescript looking teen with long black hair, dark brown eyes, and a plain shirt and short outfit with his hit IA tied across his forehead to ensure the shopkeepers knew that he was indeed a ninja. Here goes nothing. Taking a deep breath, he entered the Higurashi's blades and armors, hoping to the ramen gods that he wouldn't get thrown out. However, as soon as he entered, all worries disappeared as he took in the rows upon rows of shinobi equipment throughout the shop. A large section of the store was reserved for all kinds of weapons and equipment, including different swords, kunai, shuriken, weights, and many other things that Naruto didn't recognize, let alone know the name of. He felt like he could get lost in this place and probably could spend hours looking at everything he didn't know or had heard about but never seen. For a young genin such as himself, this truly was the place to be, there was no doubt about it. It was at that moment the shopkeeper arrived. "Ah, welcome. How may I help you?" The shopkeeper stopped and studied him closely. Naruto immediately began to sweat, fearing that the man had figured him out already. His fears proved correct as the man brought his hand together in a hand seal and said, "Kai, release." Naruto mentally cursed as his illusion dropped and turned to leave the shop, already knowing he was going to get kicked out, only to feel a hand suddenly grip his shoulder. The shopkeeper frowned, having noticed how Naruto had immediately started to leave, and then at the fear on the boy's face the moment he touched his shoulder. Damn, the villagers really did a number on him. You would be ashamed of what they did to your son, Minato. Where are you going, kid? I thought you came here to buy something, the man asked jovially. Naruto's jaw dropped. The only thing coming out of his mouth was a very articulate "Why? You'll catch flies if you keep that up, kid," the shopkeeper laughed. "And I know what you're thinking, kid. Don't worry. I ain't got no problems with you. BB, but what about the kyuubi? Oh, so you know about your burden. Well, that certainly makes thing a lot simpler. I, for one, have always respected the Yondame's wishes and I know he wanted you to be seen as a hero. Plus, I have full confidence in his sealing abilities." Naruto's eyes widened. "You are always welcome in my shop, Naruto." If possible, Naruto's eyes widened even further. He could also feel tears beginning to well up again upon finding another person who didn't see him as the demon. What's more was that this man owned a store and would not overcharge him. He hastily wiped away his tears and faced the kind man. "Thank you very much, sir," Naruto said with a bow. "You're welcome, Gaki. The name's Hideki Higurashi, owner of the Higurashi's Blades and Armors," Hideki said proudly. He was in his mid-40s, had dark brown hair, a neatly trimmed beard, and sharp piercing green eyes. The man was relatively well built, no doubt from working in the forge for so long, and was dressed in a simple shirt and pants. "So what you need?" "Oh no, I'm not really sure. Haruka-sensei said I should get a new uniform that looks more professional, but I'm not sure exactly what to get." "No worries. You just graduated, right?" Naruto nodded timidly. "Congratulations on that, by the way. Anyways, you'll definitely want a few basic weapon sets of kunai, shuriken, ninja wire, and explosive tags. As for your outfit, yeah, you need to ditch that. Seriously, kid, orange. What are you, colorblind? Boy. Orange is awesome. Why is everyone dissing the orange? Because as awesome as you think it is, it sucks. And I'll be honest with you, kid, the kyuubi's fur was orange, a darker orange, but orange nonetheless. If you really want people to stop seeing you as the demon, not wearing that color would be a good start." Well crap. He hadn't thought about it that way. "Anyways, you'll definitely want something that's durable and light. Black, gray, navy, and green are the best colors for when you're a genin, since you'll mainly be doing missions in High no Kuni or nearby. Ah, I got it. Come with me." A mere half hour later, as soon as Naruto got home, he immediately donned his new clothes. Gone was the orange nightmare that he had once worn, he would hold a proper funeral for it later, sniff goodbye, orange jumpsuit, and in its place was an outfit that looked befitting of a Konoha shinobi. He now wore a mesh undershirt under a form-fitting tank top turtleneck of navy blue color, a pair of dark gray cargo pants that had plenty of pockets to hide weapons and scrolls, and steel-tipped boots in place of his sandals. In addition to this, he had also, at Hideki's recommendations, purchased a pair of arm warmers with steel guards attached to it, as well as fingerless, steel-plated gloves. His hit-8 hung loosely around his neck, providing some protection to the vulnerable spot, while also letting his hair hang free over his eyes. All in all, he looked badass. Naruto couldn't help but smile as he inspected himself in the mirror. He looked completely different and much more professional in his humble opinion. Hell, he even felt more like a real shinobi than he did just 5 minutes prior. Alright. Time to see Jiji. Scene break. Grumble, grumble should all just burn, grumble, grumble Kami-sama, save me, grumble, grumble Shinigami-sama, just take me now. Naruto couldn't help but sweat drop upon hearing the mumbled curses coming from the Hokage's office. He had been standing outside the closed doors for the past 5 minutes, at first thinking that Sarutobi was in a meeting until he actually caught some of the words that the man was saying and instantly knew what the elderly shinobi was talking about. Turning to the secretary, he asked, "How long has he been going on like this?" The woman sighed in exasperation. 3 hours, Naruto-kun. Is it really that bad today? It's usually pretty bad on the day of graduation, but it became a whole lot worse with the daemon situation. Oh, shaking his head, Naruto decided he'd best get to rescuing the Sandaime Hokage from the bane of leaders everywhere. Paperwork. I wonder why Gigi never used Kage Bunshin to do paperwork, he thought as he walked in with a jovial, "Yo, Gigi." The Hokage looked up and jaw dropped as he stared at Naruto. "And Naruto? The one and only. What? Don't recognize me with my new digs?" "I almost didn't, Naruto-kun. I have to admit you look quite sharp in your new outfit," Sarutobi said with a smile. "He looks just like you, Minato. I just thought it was time for a change. I'm a shinobi now, after all. Gotta be more professional." "Indeed, you are right, Naruto-kun. I am very pleased to see you taking your career seriously." "No, do you think you could help me with that?" The Hokage raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Well, I know our Junin senseis aren't supposed to be back for at least 2 months, and I wanted to use that time to get stronger. I'm just not sure how or where to start." In that very moment, Sarutobi had never felt more proud of his surrogate grandson than he did now. "Well, tell me this, Naruto-kun, what do you think you need to work on?" "Lots of stuff, but Iruka-sensei said I needed to work on my taijutsu, gyukujutsu, and chakra control the most. Problem is I don't know how to improve on my chakra control, and the academy taijutsu style has always felt uncomfortable to me. And I don't know anyone I could ask to teach me." Making a mental note to give the academy instructor a bonus, Sarutobi pondered his young charge's dilemma before smiling. Getting up, he quickly exited the office and returned a moment later with several scrolls in his hands, 3 of which were easily as tall as Naruto. "These scrolls here," the Sandaime started, gesturing to the larger scrolls, "contain ancient taijutsu and kenjutsu styles dating back hundreds of years. The red scroll contains the teachings of the Rakishiki, 6 powers. It is a very powerful style that requires a high level of chakra control, but those who master it are said to be able to create blades of pure chakra from a single kick, make their bodies as strong as steel, and even jump multiple times in the air." Naruto's eyes widened, even as Sarutobi reached over and picked up a large green scroll. This scroll describes the style and techniques of Sentmrik, 3-sword style, though there are other teachings of techniques that use fewer swords. Legend has it that the creator of this style was considered to be the greatest swordsman in all the lands before he died. Finally, we have this black scroll which describes a unique taijutsu style that only uses a person's feet and legs. This martial art is known as Karoshi no Waza, black leg style, and was genuinely used for people who did not wish to injure their hands, like cooks, tailors, or blacksmiths. Despite how it sounds, this style is just as deadly and versatile as the others. "Sugoi." "Indeed," Sarutobi smiled. "I will let you take one of these scrolls to keep and train in." "What? I can't take all 3." The Sandaime shook his head. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but that would be showing a great deal of favoritism, and as Hokage, I cannot do that. I am already doing more for you than I probably should. Besides, becoming strong is not about having more techniques. It's about mastering what you already have." Naruto cocked his head to the side in confusion. "I think Iruka-sensei said something similar. And he is right. But how about a deal then? Whichever scroll you take now, if you can show me by the time your Junin-sensei returns that you have a solid foundation in the basics, I will let you take one other." "Really?" "Yes, really. But you'll have to train hard." "No sweat, Gigi. You got yourself a deal." "Excellent. Now which scroll do you want? And I want you think about it carefully before choosing." Naruto lapsed into silence, a deep thoughtful look on his face that surprisingly didn't result in his brain cooking. Which one to choose? He didn't have a sword, nor could he afford one in the near future, so that automatically meant that the Sentmrik was out. That left the Rakishiki and the Karoshi no Waza. But both sound so cool. How am I supposed to pick just one? Wait, Gigi said he wanted me to think carefully before choosing. That must mean that one of them is definitely better for me right now, right? It made sense. Well, according to Iruka-sensei, my chakra control needs work, so learning the Rakishiki would be harder. I guess that's my choice then. I'll take the Karoshi no Waza, Gigi." "And why would you pick that one, Naruto-kun?" "Oh," was the Sandaime testing him. Well then, Naruto wasn't going to disappoint. "Well, you said the Rakishiki requires good chakra control, right?" The Hokage nodded. "Iruka-sensei said I needed to work on that, meaning that until I get better, I wouldn't be able to learn the style anyways. I also don't know how to use a sword, which means the Sentmrik style is out as well. So that means the only one I can learn is the Karoshi no Waza." The proud smile that spread across the Hokage's lips immediately confirmed to Naruto that he made the right choice. "And you would be correct, Naruto-kun. The Rakishiki is a very difficult style to learn, and without the proper skill in chakra control, you would not be able to learn it at all. Perhaps in the future though," Sarutobi said, handing over the scroll for the Karoshi no Waza. "Now, before I tell you what's in these smaller scrolls, could you please channel some chakra into this piece of paper?" "What is it, Gigi?" It's a special paper that will tell us what elements you are compatible with. Naruto nodded and began channeling his chakra into the paper. He watched as the paper glowed blue for a brief second before it split down the middle, with both halves suddenly becoming soaking wet, much to the Hokage's surprise. To have two elemental affinities at such a young age, Naruto-kun, you will undoubtedly go far, the Sandaime thought. It seems you have two very strong elemental affinities, Naruto-kun. Wind and water. That is quite rare for someone at your age. Now, these two scrolls each have a C-rank jutsu for your respective affinities, and this scroll here will help you with your chakra control. I expect you to learn them well. I will, Jiji. Naruto promised. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Naruto-kun. With a quick hug, Naruto turned to leave before suddenly remembering his old man's mumblings earlier. And with that came a devious idea. Nah, Jiji, what's it worth to you if I tell you how to defeat your paperwork? Sarutobi just stared. Did he really figure out the secret behind defeating paperwork? On one hand, he had a genin trying to bribe him, the Hokage. That in itself was considered a serious crime in a shinobi village, punishable with prison depending on the circumstances, but on the other hand, his surrogate grandson was offering him a way to finally defeat the evil that is paperwork. Naruto-kun. The choice was simple. Yes. Because there was no choice. A river of tears began falling down the elderly shinobi's cheeks as he, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third god of shinobi and the Sandaime Hokage of Konohagakure, literally fell onto his hands and knees and begged, please tell me the secret. I'll give you anything. Anything at all. How about 2 more elemental ninjutsu scrolls? A-rank techniques. And I'll give you a complete set of Kenjutsu instructional manuals and the Yondaime's own notes on sealing. Just please. Tell me the secret. You sweat drop. Ever thought of using Kage Bunshin? The old man just stared at Naruto slack-jawed. Silently, he handed Naruto 2 more scrolls and a stack of books before walking over to his desk. He then slowly pulled out a piece of paper that Jiraiya had given him long ago, saying that he would use it should he ever discover the secret behind defeating paperwork, and placed it on his desk. On that sheet of paper were the words "bang head here" inscribed within a large circle. Stupid, 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 Sarutobi muttered as he repeatedly slammed his head against the paper. Naruto could only sweat drop as he quietly exited the room. Scene break. As soon as Naruto got home, he immediately went to open the ninjutsu scrolls only to stop and frown. Iruka-sensei said that the things I need to work on the most is Taijutsu, chakra control, and Bukijutsu, he sighed. I really want to learn the ninjutsu, but it would probably be better if I focus on improving the areas I'm worst at first. I won't be strong if I suck at everything else, Naruto thought, looking mournfully at the smaller scrolls. He could practically hear his sensei telling him how becoming a good shinobi required more than just knowing awesome ninjutsu. So with that in mind, he turned to the Taijutsu scroll. Rolling the scroll open, it only took Naruto 5 minutes to start cursing in equal parts frustration and awe. Apparently, this style required an absolutely obscene level of leg strength and flexibility to be used effectively. Far beyond what Naruto currently possessed. I'm going to need weights, he muttered to himself. But how was he supposed to buy them? He didn't have any more money, and now that he was a genin, he was cut off from the village's orphan funds. Damn it, what am I supposed to do? His eyes fell on the stack of Kenjutsu manuals, and an idea popped up in his head. Maybe there's a weight seal or something in one of these books. Quickly creating a dozen clones, he had each one skim through the books as he went to get his calligraphy set. Yo boss. I found one. Hurrying back over, Naruto inspected at the complicated-looking seal that, if he was reading this right, would very gradually add weight up to a certain limit. In other words, it was exactly what he needed. Yosh. This is perfect. Everyone, grab a brush, some ink, and something to practice on. What are you going to do? One of the clones asked as it grabbed a dumbbell Naruto occasionally trained with at home. I'm going to start working on these stretches and basic exercises and then talk with Hideki-san to see if there's anything I can do to earn a little extra money. Oh, good idea, boss. I should be back soon though. Just keep working on th. Oh shy. Crack. Sorry. Naruto's eye twitched. There was a hole in his floor. A hole created by a pair of boxers. The clone had stupidly decided to try activating his badly drawn seal, and the result was a ridiculous amount of weight that broke straight through the floor. He just hoped it didn't hit his neighbor below. Ah. What the hell is this? Where did these boxers come from? Why are they so freaking heavy? Somebody help. I can't move. He'll get to a training ground and keep practicing. I'll be right back. This is going to be a long day. Chapter 2 The Beast Within. His target was fleeing. It was moving at speeds beyond anything a civilian could reach and pranced through the forest with inhuman ease and grace. And if that wasn't enough, the target was also hard to track as it naturally blended in with its surroundings. But even with all these advantages, when faced against a shinobi, it didn't stand a chance. But the flick of the wrist, a single kunai sliced through the air and pierced the target's skull with precision. An instant and painless kill. Alright. That makes 3. Naruto crowed happily, jumping down from the treetops toward his kill. Oh, looks like I got a big one. With a quick hand seal, 2 more clones popped into existence next to him. You know what to do, guys. Hi. The 2 clones immediately got to work, taking out knives, and began skinning the felled deer, while Naruto got to work on some physical exercises. It had been 3 weeks since his life got completely turned around. 3 weeks since Akura's rejection and the subsequent events that followed. Since then, he had been training diligently and already, he could feel a difference, especially in his legs. The weight seals, which had taken 8 hours to master even with a dozen clones working on it, had been applied to his boots and now worked perfectly. That combined with a few hundred clones practicing each day, quickly allowed him to master the basic stances, kicks, and movements of the Kuroshi no Waza, black leg style, in what felt like no time, even though he still lacked the necessary speed, strength, and flexibility to learn the more difficult techniques. It would be a long time before he reached that level of skill. Besides the ancient Taijutsu style, Naruto had also significantly improved his chakra control, thanks to the scroll the Hokage had given him. Granted, at first, he had thought his surrogate grandfather was playing a trick on him for all the pranks he played upon seeing the title of the tree climbing technique. Nevertheless, he read on and soon discovered how incredibly difficult the technique was, especially given his large chakra reserves. His heavy boots didn't help either and more than once, he found his head crashing into the earth. Thanks to that, there were now several Naruto-shaped holes throughout the forests of Konoha, something that would confuse many visitors and invaders in the years to come. As for why he was hunting deer, it was an idea posed to him by Hideki to make some money. Since Naruto had no talent with a forge, nor would he be of any benefit manning the register given his unfortunate condition, the shopkeeper had instead asked the Jinchuriki to scour the training grounds and forests for discarded weapons that he could use as scrap metal. For every 5 pounds of scrap Naruto found, Hideki would pay the boy 10,000 rim. The shopkeeper had also recommended that the Jinchuriki could also try hunting while he was searching for scrap metal and sells the skins and meat to the traveling merchants that came by every month. That, of course, meant Naruto needed to learn how to skin animals, especially after his first failed attempts. So with that in mind, he sent a small batch of clones to the library where they not only looked up skinning, but also a variety of different subjects like hunting, cooking, for the game animals, and even foraging. And thanks to the books, he was now fairly skilled in hunting and skinning and could make a mean rabbit stew. "All done, boss," one of the clones announced, startling Naruto from his thoughts, even as he did squats. "How many skins and furs does that make?" Total, we have about 50 rabbit skins, 23 deer, 10 wolves, a bear, and 25 ferrets. Are you heading to the market after this? Yeah, the merchants arrived this morning so they should be done setting up their stalls. Don't forget to save a couple deer skins for Hideki-san. He wanted some to make armor. I was planning on dropping by Hideki-san's shop after the market, but thanks for the reminder, Naruto said, taking the scroll from the clone just before it dispelled itself. The original then looked up at the treetops where several clones were practicing tree climbing. Alright guys. Dismiss yourself in groups of 10 every half minute. Asu. As ordered, the clones began disappearing every half minute, giving Naruto's mind the time it needed to sort through all the information without any consequences. He had learned the hard way that dismissing too many clones at the same time would overload his brain. It had led to his first ever hangover multiplied by 200. It had instantly knocked him out and for the next several hours, he would proceed to drown in a puddle of his own drool as his tenon furiously attempted to put his melted brain back together, all the while cursing idiotic vessels. Yeah, never doing that again, Naruto thought with a shudder. The headache that had followed had been hell. Shaking away his wandering thoughts, the Jinchuriki plastered a wide grin on his face as he immediately headed back to the village with an enthusiastic "Yosh. Time to go to the market." Scene break. As expected, the market was in full swing by the time he arrived. Laughter, enthusiastic chatter, and shouts of bids, sales, and advertisements could be heard even from the rooftop where Naruto was perched. He could see several stands selling a wide assortment of curious items, some meant for shinobi, some for civilian, and all of them interesting. However, as curious as he was, Naruto forced himself to concentrate on his task of finding someone who would buy his furs. It took a couple moments, but he eventually locked onto a tall, rugged-looking man selling quality furs, leather, and hunting items. In short, exactly the person he was looking for. Hopping down, Naruto quickly blended into the large crowd, pausing occasionally to inspect some of the stands. Most of the stands seemed geared toward civilians, and the few that did sell shinobi merchandise were packed with Konoha's military forces. One stand in particular had attracted a massive crowd surrounding it as the giant mustached merchant manning it displayed a variety of strange weapons, though that wasn't what caught the Jinchuriki's attention. No, what caught his eye was a kunoichi around his age. The bun-haired girl appeared utterly enraptured with each and every weapon the merchant presented. Her eyes had transformed into sparkling hearts, and there was a veritable waterfall of drool cascading down her chin. Weird much? Naruto watched the kunoichi's peculiar behavior for another moment before shrugging it off and headed over to the leather merchant he saw earlier. There, he waited patiently for the man to finish selling a gleaming knife to a customer before the merchant's attention turned to him. "Hello there, young man. How can I help you?" the man asked with a smile as soon as he finished his sale. "I was wondering if you would be interested in buying some of the furs I have," Naruto said. "If you'd let me see the furs, I might consider it. We'll be open until nightfall, so you're welcome back anytime before that." "Oh, I have them with me." Taking out his storage scrolls, Naruto quickly unsealed his catch, smiling at the surprised look that crossed the merchant's face. The surprise quickly passed though as the man began carefully inspecting the fur to ascertain their quality. "These are in pretty good quality. Not as good as some of my regular suppliers, but they're close enough that I could make it work." "Did you skin the animals yourself?" "Yes, I did, sir." "Well, you did good work then. I have an order to fill for one of the feudal lord in the snow country, so I'll take any furs you're willing to sell me. Particularly rabbit furs. How much do you got?" "I have 50 rabbit skins, 21 deer, 10 wolves, a bear, and 25 ferrets." "Oh, quite a catch. And how does 300,000 rim for all of them sound to you?" Naruto felt his eyes go wide. 300,000 rim, he never had that much money before in his life. That sounds great. Thank you so much." "No, thank you. Thanks to you, I can get started on the feudal lord's order sooner," the man said, also thinking on how much money he had just saved as opposed to getting the materials from his usual suppliers. "The name's Tame Shizure, by the way. Nice to meet you." Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde shinobi, responded, sealing away the money in one of his scrolls as he heartily shook the merchant's hand. "If you happen to have any more furs next time I'm around, feel free to look me up." "I will. Thanks a lot, Shizure-san." "Ah, call me Tame. Shizure-san is my pops. Till next time, Naruto-san." With a big smile and a much fatter wallet, Naruto left the stand and decided to browse a bit while he was here. Thankfully, the villagers were far too preoccupied with the displayed merchandise to notice him, so the genin was able to shop in relative peace. That lasted about 15 minutes. "Hey. Get back here. Out of the way. Thief. Help. Help." Looking up, Naruto saw a sleazy man pushing his way through the crowd, a suitcase that clearly did not belong to him tucked under his arm. "Is that guy an idiot? There are dozens of shinobi here, he'll get himself killed," the genin sighed. "I should probably do something. No time like the present to test out my new moves." Bouncing on the balls of his feet for a moment, Naruto waited for the man to get in range before swinging his leg out. Collar, neck. A roundhouse kick, made all the more powerful by the weighted boots, slammed into the throat of the running thief, putting an abrupt end to his escape and driving him into the ground with resounding force. Instant KO. "Did you see that? Just one kick. Wait, isn't that? It is. It's him. Kami-sama, he looks different. How'd he get so strong?" Surprisingly, at least to the villagers, Naruto ignored the mutterings of the civilians and shinobi around him. Just weeks ago, he would have loudly boasted his skills and go on about how awesome he was, but now, he just didn't seem to care. Well, that's not entirely true. Admittedly, a part of him wanted to flex, but he was suppressing the desire and instead swooped down to pick up the stolen suitcase just as a pretty girl, probably around 15, came running up. "Is this yours?" he asked. The girl, her blue eyes wide upon seeing her stolen merchandise recovered so quickly and the knocked-out thief laying crumpled on the ground nearby, practically sagged in relief as she nodded and took the offered case. "Yes. Thank you so much. How can I ever repay you?" "Don't worry about it. It was nothing," Naruto said, trying to wave the whole thing off even though internally, he wanted to gloat about how awesome he was. "Hey, old habits die hard. Maybe to you, but not to me and my brother." Opening the case, Naruto was surprised to see a magnificently crafted violin. "This is for a noble up in Hansham village. If you hadn't recovered it for us, the loss would have been the end for our business, so thank you." Naruto just rubbed the back of his head sheepishly, unsure as to how to handle the situation. "I'm glad I was able to help, but really, I don't need you to repay me or anything." "Well, would you at least come see my brother? I'm sure he would want to thank you too." The girl beamed. "I'm Keiko, by the way." "Naruto. Nice to meet you." Keiko chirped, happily leading the shinobi over to her stand as other shinobi swooped by to arrest the thief. "Ani-san. This is Naruto. He's the one who stopped that thief and recovered the violin. Naruto-san, this is my older brother, Hikaru. The slightly portly man looked over at the Jinchuriki before a large toothy smile that would not go out of place on his certain Taijutsu master spread across his face. So you're the one who stopped that thief. You must be quite strong. I'm alright. No harm in boasting just a little bit, right? Still, it took everything Naruto had not to start flexing. You have our sincerest thanks. If there is anything we could do for you. Was this how people normally acted when someone did something for them? Naruto couldn't help but feel more than a little uncomfortable at the whole situation. All he did was stop some petty thief. Really, it was nothing. You don't need to repay me. The frown suddenly appeared on Hikaru's face. It would be a mark against our honor if we didn't repay you. There must be something. A mischievous smile suddenly spread across his face. How about my beautiful sister's hand in marriage? Ani-san. The blushing girl cried, smacking her laughing older brother on the shoulder as she glanced at an equally red Naruto in embarrassment. Kidding. I'm just kidding. Ha, ha. You had better. Looking back at the genin, Hikaru rubbed his chin in thought. Surely, there is something we Keiko suddenly began whispering into his ear. Oh. An excellent idea, Amoto. Naruto-san, you wait right there. The man dashed into his tent and returned moments later with a black flute emblazoned with what looked like several seals along its sides in his hands. This, Naruto-san, is a specially made flute designed for shinobi. With it, you can cast jinjutsu and ninjutsu that can be made stronger by playing music. It was made by my old man, may he rest in peace, for a shinobi that died before it could be completed. Naruto stared at the musical instrument in awe. He had never heard of instruments used by shinobi, let alone see one. I want you to have it, Naruto-san. Blue eyes bugged out. What? I can't take this. It must be worth a fortune. Of course you can. Keiko chirped. It has been collecting dust for the last 8 years, Naruto-san, Hikaru responded. Please, take it. Even if you decide not to use it, there is a better chance that you may find someone who can use it to its full potential than we ever could. Naruto was faced with a conundrum. It wasn't that he didn't want the instrument. Truthfully, the idea of casting ninjutsu and jinjutsu, especially since he literally had zero talent in creating illusions with a flute, was actually very appealing to the genin. But he didn't want to just take the item, especially since it had been made by their father. And he already had a lot on his plate. Of course, in that moment, Hikaru had to deliver the finisher. Please, Naruto-san. I am sure my old man would want his last masterpiece to be used as it was meant to. Well, that decides it then. Alright, I'll take it. Wide beaming smiles spread across the siblings' faces as the genin took the flute and reverently returned it to its case before sealing it. A quick glance at the position of the sun reminded Naruto of the hour as he tucked the storage scroll into his pouch. It's getting late. I have to go, but maybe I'll see you both again next month. Thanks again for the flute. No, Naruto-san, thank you. Hikaru responded, bowing his head in thanks. Bye, Naruto-kun. Keiko said with a wave. The two siblings watched as the genin jumped onto a nearby roof and sped off. Of course, as soon as he was out of sight, Hikaru shot his little sister a coy smile. Naruto-kun, huh? Are you sure you don't want me to offer him your hand in marriage? I'm sure I could get the Hokage to approve. Keiko's face turned beet red. Shut up, Ani-san. Scene break. Page Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. 100 clones suddenly burst into existence, all standing at the ready for instructions. Alright guys, I want all of you split up into groups of 10 before I assign you guys a task, Naruto ordered, watching the duplicates do just that in a matter of seconds. Good. Okay, group 1. He pointed at the closest batch of clones. You guys are on chakra control. Half of you will work on the tree climbing technique while the other half head over to the nearby river. The clones immediately took off. Group 2. I want you working on the Suiton. Sujinheki, water release. Water formation wall, while group 3 will be working on the Suiton. Shuriken no Jutsu, water release. Water dragon projectile technique. Group 4 and 5, you guys got the Pton. Repshim, wind release. Gale palm and Pton. Tatapa, wind release. Great breakthrough, respectively. Head over to the next training ground so that you're not in the way. Group 6, I want you guys hunting and foraging. Group 7, you got Kenjutsu and Group 8 will go to the library to read anything you think would be helpful. Naruto then looked at the remaining 2 groups. Group 9 and 10 will stay here with me and work on the Kuroshi no Waza. I want to have 2 techniques down before the end of the day. Move out. Hi. The remaining clones shouted in unison before scattering. Before today, he hadn't touched the ninjutsu scrolls the Sandaime had given him. Sure, it had been hard to resist, but he rationalized with himself that he needed to focus on the weak points Iruka had pointed out first. Now, however, after stopping that thief and being commented by civilians and shinobi alike of his increasing strength, Naruto felt that he was ready. No doubt, it was thanks to the kyuubi that he was getting so much stronger so quickly. After all, the healing factor repaired his muscles after a single night's rest, basically accelerating his growth exponentially. I guess it's not so bad being the kyuubi's Jinchuriki, he thought. Still, it sucked that his clones couldn't do physical training, which meant that he had to stick with working on his taijutsu while his copies got to practice ninjutsu. Lucky bastards. Wait, was it right to be jealous of his copies? Wouldn't that mean he was jealous of himself? Having all these clones around is going to make me crazy, Naruto muttered, quickly settling into a stretch as he looked over the next technique in the Kuroshi no Waza. Jigo, legs, huh? Apparently, the move was a basic sweeping kick to the kneecaps, but with an added twist, it was designed to knock the intended target into the air for a follow-up attack. It required perfect timing with the bend of his leg and precise targeting, otherwise the move was more likely to injure him than the target. Alright, guys, we have 3 hours until sundown, so let's do this. His clones all cheered in enthusiasm as they scurried off to practice the technique. Naruto stood to join them only to suddenly black out. Scene break. Mindscape. Falling. He was falling. Falling at speeds that everything around him were nothing more than blurred images, and strangely enough, each and every one of those images seemed familiar. As if he had experienced them before. All of a sudden, he was laying in ankle-deep water, and surprisingly, there had been no impact. It was just 1 second, he was falling, the next, he was flat on his back. And then he felt it. It was impossible to miss power. Raw, dangerous, and utterly crushing power that would strike fear in even the most battle-hardened of shinobi. And yet it felt suppressed. Shaking the feeling, Naruto slowly got up and surveyed his surroundings. He was in a sewer, one with rather poor lighting at that. Pipes lined the wall, some glowing blue, some red, and some, strangely enough, a golden white. What they represent, Naruto didn't have a clue, but now wasn't the time to think on that. It was more important he figure out where he was and how to get out. Only one way to go really, Naruto muttered nervously, seeing as the path on his right was sealed off. Taking a deep breath to steel himself, he marched forward. He had no idea how long he walked. It could have been a few minutes or several hours. All Naruto knew was that he wasn't getting any closer to an exit. The sewer itself was a winding maze of tunnels, filled with locked doors and dead ends, and quite frankly, the genin had no idea where he was going. The only sign that he was making any progress at all was the steadily growing feeling of power. Wherever he was heading, Naruto already knew he would be facing the source of that power before he got out. I hope I'm wrong. Moments later, damn it, sometimes, I hate it when I'm right. True to his prediction, Naruto found himself stumbling into a large cavernous room that was utterly saturated in the power he had been sensing this whole time. And directly in front of him was a gate. Yeah, it was definitely a gate, or perhaps a cage. A freaking ginormous cage. It stretched well hundreds of meters over him, and, strangely enough, the only thing that seemed to be keeping it shut was a flimsy piece of paper tag with the kanji for seal written on it. Everything beyond the bars, however, was pitch black, and no matter how much Naruto strained his eyes, he couldn't see anything beyond it. I wonder what's in there, Naruto wondered, a feeling of dread building in his gut. He shouldn't have asked. The second the words left his lips, a massive and absolutely utterly terrifying visage made itself known. Teeth, each bigger than a normal man, suddenly appeared from within the darkness in the form of a smile. Eyes, blood red in color with a black slit for pupils, gazed down at him almost hungrily as a deep rumbling growl resonated through the room. Naruto couldn't move. He could barely breathe. And as desperately as he wanted to scramble back, his legs had seemingly stopped working. All he could do was stare at the entity before him in shocked silence. Hello. AIE. Thump. Dead faint. Complete with foaming at the mouth and twitching leg. Ha 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 ha. Oh Kami, I can't breathe. Ha ha ha. Oh, that was brilliant, the creature laughed, literally rolling on its back in laughter. How long had it been since it got to see such an amusing sight? I can't wait to do that again. Woo. Looking down at the unconscious blonde, the entity unleashed a jolt of chakra. Wakey, wakey, Naruto. Wah? Blinking blearily, Naruto realized he was once again on his back in ankle-deep water. Slowly, he sat up. What happened? Where am I? He looked up and froze once more. Ba. What's the matter, Naruto? Fox got your tongue. The massive creature chuckled. To answer your first question, you fainted like a sissy when I said hello, and it was priceless. Instantly, a tick mark appeared on the genin's brow as he glared up at the still chuckling demon. As for your second question, we are in your mind. My mind? Then who the hell are you? Wait, you aren't. Yes. Naruto jumped back at the sudden thunderous roar. I am she who rules the realm of Makai. The leader and the most powerful the Bijk. With each step, I make the earth tremble. With each swing of my tails, I summon forth tsunamis. I am power itself. Bow before me, for I am the great, the powerful, the almighty and super sexy Kyuubi no Ilko. With each bellowed word, Naruto felt his eyes grow wider as he finally found the strength to scramble back. He was mere seconds away from fainting passing out, because manly men don't faint, they pass out, when his brain suddenly came to grinding halt. Wait the Kyuubi slumped. Seriously? That's what you focus on in my entire speech? I spent hours practicing that to make sure I conveyed the sheer awesomeness that I possess. The demon gripped, looking decidedly put out at the less than lackluster reaction. And yes, she got a problem with that. The killing intent suddenly tripled, no, quadrupled. Despite knowing the Kyuubi could not in any way hurt him, Naruto was quick to shake his head and stammer a very unmanly, and no. Of course not. But anyways, no doubt you are wondering why you're here. Naruto nodded. That is a tad more complicated, but in short, I brought you here. Now that you are aware of my existence and have accepted it, we can finally speak face to face and try to make the best of our unfortunate situation. What do you mean? Naruto asked suspiciously, and rightly so. After all, the being before him was responsible for his abysmal childhood and continued difficulties in life. It is quite simple really. As my vessel, you will inevitably end up in situations where you'll be forced, either consciously or not, to call upon my power or advice. As such, to make things easier for the both of us, what I propose is a mental and sensory connection, which will allow us to speak directly with one another and let me experience the real world through you. In exchange, I will offer whatever advice I can and grant you my power. On the surface, Naruto could see it was a good deal. The Kyuubi would still be trapped behind the seal, but would get a taste of the outside world through him. But this was a demon he was dealing with. And not just any demon, but the Kyuubi no Imko. On top of that, she was a kitsune, a supernatural creature renowned for being tricky and devious. So in short, there lay just one question. What's the catch? A pleased smile spread across the Kyuubi's lips. Good, you're learning. A month ago, you would have agreed instantaneously. And there is no catch. I give you my word upon my name, title, and power that what I am offering has no loopholes or tricks of any kind that would be detrimental to you. There was a sudden and fleeting heavy presence that filled the room after the Bijk's words, startling Naruto as he looked around in alarm. A demon's word is binding. What you felt just now is the world itself cementing my promise to you. Even if I wanted to, I can no longer change my offer in a way that would negatively affect you. The creature's voice then turned surprisingly soft. I will admit that I am also doing this partly out of guilt. Although we could not interact, I am well aware of how my existence has caused you much grief, despite its shortness. It is my hope that this deal will result in making us both happier and pay a small measure of my sins. Naruto honestly didn't know what to say. Here before him was the demon indirectly responsible for all the grief and sorrow he had experienced throughout his life, and yet, it was showing him more compassion and care than just about anyone in the village, save for the Hokage, Iruka, and the Ichiraku family. The Jinchuriki sighed before giving the Bijk a watery smile. I accept your deal, Kyuubi-san, and I forgive you as well. You have suffered just as much as I have and have more than paid for your sins. Thank you, Naruto. You have no idea what that means to me, the demon said, a genuine smile on its lips before it straightened up with a huff. Being crouched down to see you is beginning to cause a crick in my neck. Give me a sec while I slip into something a bit more comfortable. The Kyuubi suddenly vanished into the cage's darkness, leaving Naruto standing before the bars in clear confusion. Something more comfortable? What is that supposed to mean? The genin wondered. Fortunately, he didn't have to wait long as the Kyuubi soon re-emerged from the cage's shadows and walked right up to the bars so that they were only feet apart. And what he saw there was only one word he could say. Humana, 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 humana. She was gorgeous. The epitome of beauty. Literally, any standard of beauty the world may have had was just shattered in this very moment. Crimson-colored hair that cascaded like a waterfall down the small of her back in silken waves, sun-kissed skin that had not a single mar upon it, delicate feminine features that portrayed a degree of aristocracy and elegance that no noble could ever hope to have framed her blood-red eyes that seemingly pierced his very soul. And as if her natural beauty was not enough, she also wore an elaborate single-sleeved white and red kimono, modified to cough, accent her generous assets and expose a great deal of tanned skin. All in all, it was hard to believe that the beautiful woman before him was truly the Kyuubi no Imko. Like what you see, Naruto-kun? The Kyuubi asked seductively, her voice no longer booming as it once was. It had changed into something much softer and feminine, while still holding the undeniable sense of raw power. The teen's face instantly invented a new shade of red as the beauty leaned over provocatively. His voice wouldn't work as he tried valiantly to stave off the nosebleed that was threatening to erupt. Come on, Naruto. Use that shinobi mental training and resist. Resist. Re-see. She slowly licked her lips. Boom. The geyser of blood burst forth, propelling Naruto at Mach 2 and slamming him into the ground. "I'm screwed," were Naruto's last thoughts before he blacked out. "Come on, Kit. Wake up." A voice called, bringing Naruto back to semi-reality. He blearily opened his eyes, trying to recall what happened before his sapphire orbs landed on the still transformed demon before him, who had a rather satisfied look on her face. He blushed. "Oh, so innocent," she teased, instantly causing a tick mark to appear on Naruto's brow. "Contrary to what that transformation technique implies, you really are an innocent soul when it comes to women." The Jinchuriki ducked his head, mumbling, "Was that really necessary, Kyuubi-san? When you've been locked up and alone for 12 years with nothing to do, you learn to take what entertainment you can get, even if it means making it yourself," she said, giggling. "Anyways, come here. We still have a lot to talk about." "Like what?" "Well, first thing I should tell you is why I attacked your village. I'm sure you've been wondering about that since you found out about me." Naruto nodded. "Well, much of it is a blur to be honest. But what I do remember is that before my attack, I had gone out to hunt and returned to find that my mate had been severely injured." Naruto's eyes widened upon hearing that the Kyuubi had a mate and, from the trace of righteous anger and heartbroken longing in her voice, one that she loved very much. "He was so badly hurt that I was forced to send him back to Makai to recover. I knew he would receive the best care there, so I left to go search for the ones responsible. I really don't remember how I came to conclusion, but I somehow discovered that Konoha was responsible for my mate's injuries, and after that, it just became a blur. All I can remember is anger, fury, hatred, and that I had to make them pay." An ominous red glow began to shine in the demon's eyes as Naruto fearfully stepped back. He could also feel the very room begin to shake beneath his feet. "They who dared to hurt my beloved, they will burn in hellfire. They will die in agony. I will have my vengeance on anyone who stands against me." The room trembled before the Kyuubi's might as volatile chakra swirled around her. "Konoha will burn. Death. Destruction. Extermination. All will fall before no." The anger suddenly disappeared as Kyuubi stumbled back, clutching her head in agony. "No. This is not me. I must fight it. Naruto's eyes widened. Something's controlling her. He rushed forward to help, only to suddenly be pushed back by a wave of chakra. "No." She growled, glaring up at her vessel despite the pain. "Stay back, Naruto. I don't know how much longer I can contain this fury. But you stay behind those bars. It's the only thing that will protect you from me if I fail to stop this. I don't want to hurt yo arg." The Kyuubi suddenly fell onto her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks as she cried out in pain. "Oh, to hell with it." Naruto thought and immediately rushed past the bars and clutched the demon's face. "Come on, Kyuubi-san. Fight it. Don't let it win. I'm right here with you." When the bitch didn't respond besides continuing to scream, Naruto cursed. "There must be something I can do to help her. She doesn't deserve this. Please. If there's a kami up there, help me. All I want to do is help her." Suddenly, there was silence. Everything went still, even the Kyuubi, whose back was arched in pain and screaming, suddenly froze in place. And he heard a voice. It was sweet, soft, soothing in a way that was indescribable. In this hour of darkness, when all light is seemingly faded, only the purest of desires can pierce through the dark shadows. You, one whose line has been blessed, have chosen to help a being in suffering. More so, this suffering soul is indirectly responsible for your own suffering. Why? Naruto was at a complete loss. Who was this voice? How was it even communicating with him? He had so many questions, and yet, he felt compelled to answer as truthfully and honestly as possible. "It's clear to me now that Kyuubi-sen was being manipulated or controlled to attack Konoha. And even if that wasn't the case, no one should suffer like this. She doesn't deserve this. I just want to help her. Please, help her." The voice was silent and for a moment, Naruto feared it had left. But then, it spoke once more, this time with a noticeably pleased tone. "Excellent. You have proven yourself worthy with a soul of purest intentions. You have asked for no rewards and have had no thoughts of compensation. In light of this, I grant you this gift as is your birthright. Use it well, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Naruto blinked. What? And then he felt it. A sudden rush of soothing warmth began to course through his body. He could feel the energy empowering him, making him stronger, faster, and even purer somehow. Wisps of golden chakra began to swirl around him before flowing into the near catatonic demoness, making her body glow. Brighter and brighter it shined, forcing Naruto to close his eyes lest he go blind from the power radiating off him before it suddenly exploded outward in a dazzling golden display. And with that, the Kyuubi slumped into his arms, utterly spent. Seconds ticked by as Naruto tried to process what had just happened before he felt the demon stirring. "And Naruto?" A relieved smile spread across his lips. "Kyuubi-san. You're awake. Blah? What happened? And why I am laying in your lap? He blushed and quickly helped the bitch sit up. Sorry. It's alright. Now what happened? Naruto scratched the back of his head. How do you tell a girl that could squash you with her eyelash that she went fucking crazy and wanted to destroy everything? Wait, what? Really? Huh? You just said I went crazy and started talking about destroying everything. How did you wait? You can read my mind here. For now, yes, but that's beside the point. What happened? The last thing I remember was telling you about why I attacked Konoha. Frowning, Naruto quickly began explaining what had happened while mentally praying to Kami that it wouldn't trigger another rage tantrum. He also made sure to mention the mysterious voice that had spoken to him and the resulting rush of power that followed in hopes that the kyuubi would know something about it. I think you're right about me being controlled. Even now, just mentioning the attack on Konoha and thinking about my mate is causing me to feel angry. She smiled at Naruto upon seeing his wary face. Don't worry. I have it under control this time. Sorry, so, do you have any idea who that voice was and what happened afterwards? Oh, I know who the voice is, but it isn't my place to reveal who it is. As for that power you felt, I'm pretty sure that was you taking the first steps toward awakening your bloodline limit. His jaw dropped. I have a bloodline limit. The bitch laughed beautifully. Yes, Kit, you have a bloodline limit and it's one of the more powerful ones too. It's called Tentai, Heavenly Body, and gifts the user with several abilities, the first of which you just experience, the power and ability to use Seton, Holy Release, techniques. Seton? Never heard of it. They are special techniques that can only be used by individuals of the Uzumaki clan that have awakened their bloodline. How come? I mean, if it's just another type of ninjutsu, why is it that only the Uzumaki clan can use it? Tentai, Heavenly Body, is a unique bloodline limit that was gifted to your clan by Kami. Once awakened, the wielder gains access to a special form of energy known as celestial chakra. Without that energy, you wouldn't be able to use the techniques, no matter how hard you tried. Oh. In addition to accessing your celestial chakra, you will also eventually grow wings. Wings? Wait, I can fly. Naruto's eyes were already well past the size of dinner plates, much to the kyuubi's amusement. You will once you fully awaken your bloodline limit. Oh man, I can't wait. I'll be able to fly. Actually fly. How awesome is that? Yes, Kit, it's awesome, the demon said, letting the boy have his moment. But we can talk about that later. I can feel your clones beginning to lose their stability, so we need to wrap this up quickly. I don't want the influx of memories to tear apart your mind if they all go at once. Naruto blanched. He did not want a repeat of the last time. Right. What else did you want to talk about? A few things, but I'll go over them briefly. First, I am deeply impressed with your change of heart. You've gone from being an utter knucklehead with no true hopes of success to the beginning stages of becoming a legend among shinobi. That taijutsu style you're learning, as well as the other ones mentioned by your Hokage, are known even in Makai. However, there is more to being strong than just physical power and technique. To ensure that you are properly prepared for the world, I will teach you for a few hours each night on different subject, but mainly about chakra itself. What do you mean? Can't you just teach me some super strong ninjutsu techniques? The kyuubi shook her head. All the techniques I know are demonic and are extremely powerful. As you are now, you'd sooner kill yourself and wipe out the entire country simply trying to use one of the techniques. The Jinchuriki paled at that thought. You will eventually be able to use them, but not for a couple years at least. Okay, so how does learning about chakra help me then? You'd be surprised. By understanding chakra and all the advanced theories behind it, you'll be able to literally create your own techniques. Creating his own techniques and not just some silly variation to the transformation technique. He would be making real ninjutsu techniques, and they'd be awesome. No, not just awesome, kick-ass awesome. Was he drooling? He touched his face. Yeah, he was drooling. He wanted this. He wanted it so much. In situations like this, there was only one thing a man could do. Teach me, Kyuubi-sensei. The kyuubi laughed. Of course I will, Kit. We'll have your first lesson later tonight. Anyways, before you leave, I would like to ask a favor. The shinobi was instantly suspicious. Sure, the kyuubi had been helpful and friendly thus far, but she was still a demon, and that fact alone warranted some caution. Fortunately, she wasn't at all offended by the change. Don't worry, Naruto, it's nothing harmful. All I would like for you to do is to change your mindscape into something more livable. You could practically see the question mark that suddenly appeared over his head. Naruto, I'll be stuck behind this seal for the rest of your life unless you choose to release me. And even then, I'm not sure that would work. Your Yondaime Hokage created one hell of a seal, powered by the shinigami itself. That ensures that it'll be stuck here until you die, so I was hoping you would be willing to change your mindscape into something that isn't a sower. Oh. Well, when she put it like that, how could Naruto refuse? He had lived in a sewer once it sucked. Okay, how do I change it? It's your mind. You control how it looks. If I could give you a suggestion for what to change it to. Before she could say another word, the cage and sewer structures melted away and changed. It was almost eerie in how it shifted, with the concrete walls and floors transformed into rolling green hills with a vast forest in the background. Her sharp ears caught the sound of a gently flowing river hidden somewhere among the hills, and she could smell the moisture in the air from a nearby waterfall. Not far from where they stood, a large mansion-sized house seemingly grew out of the ground, and the Kyuubi knew, since she could still hear the boy's thoughts, that it was filled with all the basic necessities, including a bath, something she desperately needed. All in all, the Kyuubi was shocked at the transformation. This was everything she wanted: a home she could call her own, a beautiful open meadow that was large enough for even her full-size demon form, and best of all, no cage surrounding her. She knew she was still trapped, as the feeling of being suppressed was still present, but at least she no longer had a visual reminder of all her past mistakes. In short, it was perfect. "Ooh, that was harder than I thought," Naruto muttered. He turned to the still stunned speechless demon. "I hope you like it, Kyuubi-san. If you want me to add or change something, just say so." All of a sudden, his face was stuffed into the large, yet incredibly soft bust of the demon queen, who could no longer contain her joy and had proceeded to hug the stuffing out of her vessel. "Oh, Naruto-kun. Thank you so much. This is perfect." Just what kind of man was Naruto? Kyuubi simply could not understand it. She was responsible for just about everything bad that had ever happened to him, and yet, he would go this far for her. He had been kind to a monster and had fought whatever it was that had controlled her earlier. Naruto had given her something she likely would have never done in his shoes: a second chance. "Naruto-kun, no matter what happens, for as long as I am with you, I will make sure you become a legend. You deserve it," she thought, holding the boy tighter even as he began to flail from lack of air. Oh. Sorry, Naruto-kun," she cried, letting him go. "Air? Oh, sweet, sweet air," he gasped, his face nonetheless red from experiencing the blissful heaven that was a goddess's breasts. "Sorry about that, Naruto-kun. It's okay, hell, he would happily do it again if it meant being pressed face first into that chest." Best change the subject before he turned any more red. "I take it you like it." "I love it, thank you. It's more than I deserve." She blinked. "Oh, it looks like your clones are starting to go. One of them just popped. We'll talk later, Naruto-kun. I promise." Feeling surprisingly reluctant, Naruto nodded. "Until tonight then. Jana, Kyuubi-san." "Mijetsu?" "Huh?" The demoness smiled shyly. "My name is Mijetsu." His eyes widened before a wide smile spread across his lips. "Mijetsu-san, until tonight, then." The now named Bidge nodded, watching as her vessel disappeared from his mindscape. She didn't know what had possessed her to reveal her real name. Less than 20 beings knew her real name, and most of them had to fight her to learn that knowledge. And yet, she had revealed it to her vessel after just one day. What did that mean? Naruto-kun. Chapter 3: Test your mettle. Just 2 days remained until the expected date of the Jonin instructor's return, and Naruto could hardly wait to show off his progress. Already, after just 2 months, Naruto was certain his overall strength and speed had at least doubled, and that, having mastered the basic moves that were the pillars of the Kuroshi no Waza, Black Leg style, he could match most of his upper-tier classmates. He might even be a match for Sasuke Uchiha now, who Naruto grudgingly admitted had been stronger than him back in the academy. We'll see about that now. As for his ninjutsu repertoire, Naruto could now perform all the low-level ninjutsu the Hokage had given him, some of them without seals even. Granted, it had taken a full 3 weeks of technical voodoo talk about chakra from Mijetsu, the Kyuubi, and another week and a half of practice, but at least it was something, right? And this way, once Sasuke awakened his Sharingan, he wouldn't have to worry about the bastard stealing his techniques. And frankly, anything that pissed the breedy emo off was a good thing in his book. He couldn't wait to show the 1A rank ninjutsu he could do, even though it was kind of a hit or miss thing. Stupid water technique, oh well, he'd figure it out eventually. After all, he was training for 10 to 12 hours a day. That wasn't to say he was completely focused on his shinobi training. The Hokage had once told him that there was just as much value in training as there was in relaxing and partaking in hobbies. As such, Naruto made it a point to spend a little time each day doing just that. Granted, it wasn't always successful. For instance, he had tried learning how to play the flute, but well, let's just say a dying cat scratching a chalkboard sounded better. He still had paint peeling off his apartment walls. However, he did find that he truly enjoyed hunting and cooking anything he caught, and had, at the Ichiraku's insistence, begun branching out more in his cooking. Now, not only could he make a mean rabbit stew, he could also whip up a pretty slamonoi akiden, Japanese chicken and egg rice bowl. It's really good. And that wasn't all, but we'll get to that later. In addition, Naruto also discovered that he seriously enjoyed devising new ideas for techniques. In fact, he was already making strides toward the invention of his first original technique. The kyuubi had thoroughly explained how different combinations of hand seals affected and manipulated chakra, and it was due to this understanding that allowed him to create so many new ideas. Naruto could hardly wait to test them all. Maybe I can get Gigi to help me out. Nah, he probably won't have the time, Naruto thought as he walked toward the Hokage tower. Though, I wonder why he called for me. Shrugging, the Jinchuriki figured he would find out soon enough and, with a nod to the secretary, entered his surrogate grandfather's office. Yo. Gigi. Ah, Naruto-kun. Come in, come in. Sarutobi happily greeted. Beside him, 3 clones worked tirelessly on the 3-foot-high stack of paperwork. Those poor clones, how are you doing, my boy? Great. I've gotten a lot stronger since the academy. Oh, have you now? Have you learned all the ninjutsu techniques I gave you? Yup. At least all the low-leveled ones. I can even do some of those without hand seals. Really? Sarutobi exclaimed. What about the A-rank techniques? I've been working on the Suiton technique for the past week and I can only get it to work 4 times out of 10. The other 6 times just ends with me getting drenched, the boy grumbled, completely unaware of the gobsmacked look on the Hokage's face. He can already make the Suiton ninjutsu work 40% of the time in just a week and he's trying to make the other techniques sealless. Just how much potential do you have, Naruto-kun? Sarutobi knew that most shinobi didn't even attempt to learn how to do ninjutsu without seals until they were at least chunin, and even then, it was only done for the most basic of techniques. To think, with just a little encouragement and a whole lot of motivation, Naruto would already come this far in just a couple months, he thought, a proud smile spreading across his lips. That is very impressive, Naruto-kun, but remember, even after you've figured out how to do all your techniques without hand seals, you should continue training in them. Mastery is a very important part of being a shinobi. I will, Gigi. Haruka-sensei told me the same thing at graduation. Good. Now why don't you and I head outside to a training ground so I can see just how much you've grown? Are we going to spar, Gigi? The Hokage laughed as the two headed over to the nearest training ground. No, Naruto-kun. It would not be proper for the Hokage to spar with his soldiers. It would also give enemy agents a far too easy opportunity to assassinate me. Naruto grimaced. Instead, one of my Anbu operatives will be sparring with you. You may recognize her, actually. Nico-san. The Jinchuriki's eyes widened as the cat mask-wearing Anbu operative appeared out of the shadows and bent down onto one knee. At your command, Hokage-sama. You may remove your mask for the time being, Ikao. Hi. Purple hair spilled out as the Kunoichi removed her mask, revealing a breathtaking purple-haired woman who smiled at the young boy standing before her. Hello, Naruto-kun. Nico-san. Naruto immediately threw himself into the woman's open arms and laughed joyously as she swung him around. Ikao Yuzuki had been one of the Jinchuriki's bodyguards as a young child. However, unlike most of his guards who had kept their distance, Ikao had opted a different route and instead, with the approval of the Sandaime, started a friendship with the boy. Since then, the two had become very close, having an almost sibling-like bond even after she was reassigned. Thankfully, the two still saw each other every once in a while. I heard you've been training hard since I last saw you, the older Kunoichi said. I want to see just how much stronger you've become, so no holding back in this spar, okay? Hi. You'll see how much stronger I've gotten. Just you wait. Good. We can catch up afterwards over a bowl of ramen, sound good? The blinding, beaming smile was her answer. Alright, let's get this started. The two, along with their Hokage, quickly headed over to the nearest training ground and were soon facing each other, one with an excited smile, while the other merely stood at the ready. This is to be a no-hold spar. The only rules are no maiming or killing. Ninjutsu and Jinjutsu techniques are allowed. Winner will be whoever can force the other to yield or knock them unconscious. Combatants ready? The Hokage asked, getting 2 nods in return. Very well then, Hajime. Instantly, Ikao was at his side lashing out with a kick. Holy shy, Naruto yelped, quickly ducking down into a roll. Within half a second, he was up and flinging a brace of shuriken at the Kunoichi's exposed side. He knew it wouldn't do anything, but it'd at least give him a brief respite to get his head back in the game and fight properly. Excellent reaction time, Naruto-kun, the Anbu operative said, easily catching the weapons before raising her arm to block the boy's follow-up roundhouse kick. Wham! What power! She thought, her eyes widening upon feeling her arm actually given a bit. That kind of strength easily surpasses some chunin. Swinging her arm out, she knocked Naruto back and quickly went through a set of hand seals. Kaiten. Nkakik no Jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique. Suiton. Sujin Heki, water release. Water formation wall. Fire and water clashed, the more powerful flames matching the dousing effects of the water, despite its typical elemental advantage. The entire battlefield was suddenly shrouded in a thick cloud of steam, hiding both combatants from each other's view as silence descended. "Where is he?" Ikka muttered, keeping low to the ground as she searched. Normally, she'd use the cover to hide, but this was a test. Against a genin no less. And she was an Anbu captain. If she hid or actively used her sensory abilities, there'd be no point in any of this. Jigo, legs. A sweeping kick came out of nowhere, and it was only thanks to Ikkao's many years of service that let her avoid the surprise attack. Unfortunately for her, Naruto wasn't finished as he quickly used the momentum from the sweep to push himself into a handstand and swing his legs around. Do pure, twister. Steel-tipped boots collided hard into the Kunoichi's face, knocking her back several feet, only to suddenly meet two more sets of boots. Epaulet, shoulder. The clones announced, knocking her forward just as the original burst through the steam, his leg flying out in a sidekick. Mutton shot, mutton shot. The powerful finisher slammed into Ikkao's chest with enough force that to shatter stone and sent the battered Anbu operative crashing into a nearby tree, where she crumbled onto the ground in a heap and went up in a puff of smoke. Damn. One clone cursed, seeing the shattered remains of a log. Replacement. "Where is she?" asked the other, trying to see through the smoke. "Right here, Naruto-kun," a voice said behind them just before both clones felt their heads smash against each other, instantly dispelling them. Ikkao smirked as she locked eyes with the original standing before her. "It was a good attempt, but you'll need to try harder than that. Always be aware of your surroundings." But that said, the Anbu captain leapt forward with a punch aimed straight at his face. Cursing, Naruto jumped back and swung his leg up in a roundhouse, somehow knocking the fist away and, using the built-up momentum, followed up with a spinning hook kick. Unfortunately, dodging was child's play for the Kunoichi, and Ikkao was easily able to duck under the kick and retaliate with a barrage of punches into his stomach. "Ah!" He coughed, stumbling back and falling onto one knee. "You need to work on your pain tolerance, Naruto." Ikkao shouted, not giving her opponent a moment's rest. She immediately appeared by his side and kicked him hard in the back, making the teen to cry out again in pain. Being unable to take a few punches can make the difference between life and death. Wham! The attack once again came out of nowhere. And this time, it was so unexpected that the Kunoichi was utterly unable to defend herself. From behind, a shadow clone appeared and unleashed a spinning axe kick onto her shoulder, very nearly dislocating it. Epaulet, shoulder. It growled, before dropping down onto one hand and swinging his legs up and out one after another. Codelet, rib. Cell, lower back. The two kicks' momentum actually flung the clone upwards into the air, where it then twisted around and brought his foot straight down onto the defenseless Anbu captain in a powerful stabbing kick. Poitrine, breast. Ikkao found herself smashed into the ground, hard enough to leave an imprint in the dirt. Pain racked through her body and she very nearly cried out, but she wasn't an Anbu captain for nothing. Within half a second, the Kunoichi had recovered enough to stand up and counter, quickly dispersing the clone with a well-aimed punch. A subtle pulse of chakra ensured her that there were no other clones in the area, allowing her to finally return her attention back to her opponent, who had wisely used the opportunity his clone had created to get back up and put some distance between them. "You made a third clone in the steam, didn't you? Just in case something like this happened or if you saw an opportunity." Naruto nodded. "You're an Anbu captain, Ikkao-san. Even with you holding back, I know there's no way I can win in a straight fight. But with tricks and planning, I might have a small chance." The woman laughed. "Excellent. Truly excellent, Naruto-kun. With this, you've proven that you are well above the strength and mindset of Konoha's typical genin. Now let's see just how far above them you really are." It was as if a switch had been flipped. Suddenly, Ikkao's speed and strength doubled as her fist smashed into his face, nearly caving it as he was flung backwards. Stunned, Naruto was helpless as the Kunoichi appeared above him and rained punches and kicks onto his defenseless body. But still, he refused to give up. "It's not over yet." Naruto growled, somehow escaping her barrage and creating a batch of clones. "Get her." "Asu." The clones charged, each armed with a kunai as they attacked the Anbu captain to the best of their abilities. But despite their efforts, the Kunoichi danced around them, dodging every swing and kick with the ease one'd expect. And within half a minute, the 20 clones Naruto had summoned were destroyed. But that was all the time he needed. "Come on. Please work." Naruto shouted, just as he finished the last hand seal in its long sequence. Suiton. Shuriken no Jutsu, water release. Water dragon bullet technique. The nearby lake surged. Thousands of gallons of water swirled together and rocketed upwards, forming into a gigantic dragon that let loose a mighty roar. Its menacing yellow eyes locked onto its target, one astonished and somewhat frightened Kunoichi, before it rushed forward with all the power of a locomotive. "Shit. Blurring through the hand seals, Ikgao slammed her hands onto the ground. Doten. Dorikeki, earth release. Earth-style wall. A massive wall of earth rose from the ground, just in time to bear the force of the charging water dragon. To the Anbu captain's surprise, the wall actually started to crack under the Sushin ninjutsu's raw power. Magnificent. Just how strong are you, Naruto-kun? She thought, as she went through a set of seals. Doten. Maguragakur no Jutsu, earth release. Hiding like a mole technique. The Kunoichi sunk into the ground, disappearing just as the water dragon finally broke through her defenses. Haha damn, where is she? Naruto panted upon seeing his opponent missing. I couldn't have gotten her with that, no, she must have used the wall and my technique to hide. But where ga? All of a sudden, he found himself pulled under. He was buried up to his neck with no way out. And standing before him was Ikgao, who immediately placed a kunai at his throat. Yield, she said. Naruto slowly nodded, being careful not to accidentally cut himself on the blade. He sighed once it was removed and smiled at the Anbu captain once she had pulled him out from his pseudo-prison. I really was no match for you, Ikgao-san. You're super strong. Don't sell yourself short, Naruto-kun. You did extraordinarily well. The Kunoichi smiled. Most genin wouldn't have lasted past the first 30 seconds, even with me holding back. But you were actually able to hit me. She's right, Naruto-kun. The two turned to see the Hokage walking up them, an incredibly proud smile on his face. You displayed a level of skill and forethought I would not expect from a fresh graduate or even a seasoned genin. I can tell just from this one match how hard you must have trained these past 2 months. Truly, you will become a splendid shinobi if you keep this up, Naruto-kun. The genin scratched his head sheepishly. Well, it's not like I did all this by myself. I did have some help. All I did was provide you the scrolls, Naruto-kun. You did all the work. Oh, I didn't mean that, though I do appreciate it, Jiji. I was talking about Mijetsu-san. Both older shinobi blinked. Mijetsu? I am not familiar with that name. Nor am I, Ikgao piped in. Oh, right. Sorry. You guys know her as the kyuubi, he said nonchalantly, even though mentally, he was laughing up a storm with said demon. They had both planned for this so that at least one person was aware that they had made contact. You've made contact with the kyuubi, Ikgao exclaimed. When? Sarutobi demanded, grabbing the boy by the shoulders. How? Don't worry, Jiji. She's actually really nice, Naruto placated, not that it did any good. Mijetsu-san explained to me why she attacked the village. Apparently, she discovered her maid injured and went searching for the perpetrators. Somehow, she came to the conclusion that Konoha was responsible, and then I think she was put under a genjutsu or something because she couldn't remember anything after that. Just anger, hatred, she couldn't tell me anything else since, at that point, she got really angry and almost uncontrollable. How do you know you can trust her? She gave me her word. And a demon's word is binding. The Hokage relaxed and nodded. Most shinobi were aware of that particular fact. Fine, but be careful, Naruto-kun. It's not that I don't want to believe you, but the kyuubi is a demon lord, so you must stay wary. Naruto nodded, even if he didn't fully agree with it, something Mijetsu was grateful for. Anyways, what did you mean by uncontrollable? Why did you think it was genjutsu? Well, at first she was really nice and then suddenly, she went completely crazy. Naruto exclaimed, his hands flailing wildly in emphasis. He could still remember the absolute terror he felt when it had happened. She started shouting about wanting to destroy everything. But at the same time, she was also fighting it, saying that it wasn't her. If it wasn't for my bloodline limit activating, I don't know what would have happened. Bloodline limit? The Uzumaki clan doesn't have a bloodline limit, right? Ikgao asked, directing her last question at the Hokage. She stopped upon seeing the wide eyes on the elderly shinobi's face. You activated it, he whispered. Tentai, heavenly body. Naruto nodded. Prove it, Naruto-kun. Channel some celestial chakra. I'm still having some trouble controlling it, but with a look of pure concentration, Naruto's hand began to glow a golden light, bathing the surrounding area in a soothing warmth that brought smiles unwittingly to the two older shinobi's faces. Seton, holy release, Sarutobi breathed. You really have awakened it. Incredible. Ano, Sandame-sama. Ikgao piped in. What exactly is this? I've never heard of a bloodline limit in the Uzumaki clan. That's because so few have ever activated it. Unlike most clans with bloodline limits, the odds of an Uzumaki awakening the Tentai, heavenly body, is about 1 in 100. It is said that the power is a gift from Kami, who saw that our world needed an edge in fighting the demons that once plagued this land. Eyes widened as Naruto and Ikgao listened attentively. Those who have awakened the Tentai, heavenly body, gain access to a higher form of chakra known as celestial chakra, allowing them to use extremely powerful techniques known as Seton, holy release. Net Jiji, how do you know so much about my bloodline limit? Tsurutobi smiled. I am called the professor for a reason, Naruto-kun. I also did know the Uzumaki clan fairly well before they were sadly wiped out. What about my parents? Naruto asked hopefully. The smile turned sad as the Hokage nodded. Yes, I knew them as well. And I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but I cannot tell you about them just yet. What? Why not? Due to the war and their own prowess, your parents had many enemies. I am certain that should your heritage be made public, several of them would target you simply out of revenge or to prevent you from reaching your potential. Adding to the fact that you are the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, you would become too tempting a target for anyone. No, Naruto-kun, as much as it pains me to say this, for the time being, it is safer that you do not know until I'm sure you can protect yourself. Naruto wanted to protest. Really, he did but, at the same time, he couldn't. The Sandaime was keeping the info from him to protect him. He sighed. I understand, Jiji. Good. Once you've reached Nin level, I will tell you everything. You have my word. I'm holding you to that, Jiji, Naruto said. Is there anything you can tell me about them? I know they're shinobi, but what about a house? Did they have one? Yes, they did. It's outside the village walls. Why do you ask? Oh no, I was hoping I could live there. Do you not like your apartment, Naruto-kun? Living in a full-sized house is much more demanding than a small apartment. Oh, no, Jiji. I love my apartment. It's just that Naruto sighed. Everyone in the village knows where I live and people regularly break into my apartment. If I live somewhere else, someplace most people don't know about, I can give myself and probably the village as a wholesome peace. Plus it's where I would have been grown up in had my parents survived. Even if you can't tell me anything about them, living in their house would mean a lot. How could he even consider refusing such a request after hearing that? But there was the issue that Naruto would be outside the village walls, alone and unprotected. It was one of the reasons why Tsurutobi got the boy his specific apartment, seeing as it was relatively close by to the Hokage tower. However, he couldn't just force his surrogate grandson to stay where he was so how. His eyes landed on Ikao, who had been standing silently nearby. And that could work. Nodding his head, he looked back at Naruto. Very well, Naruto-kun. Tomorrow, after you meet your team, come to my office. There are a few things we will need to work out, but I believe I can allow you to live there. The wide beaming smile was his answer. Thank you, Jiji. Now then. I do believe we've had a very fulfilling day, don't you agree? Why don't we grab a bite to eat before turning in for the night? You have a busy day tomorrow. Asu. Scene break. Blissful sleep, such an angelic peaceful look on Naruto's face. Let's ruin that, shall we? Kit, it's time to wake up, the Kyuubi said. No response. Kit. Grumble. Boy, Kit. Snore. Okay, you asked for it. Ahem. Mijetsu cleared her throat before taking a deep breath. Abandon ship. Abandon ship. We're taking on water. AHHH. Crash. Itai. He had reacted without even thinking. And now, here he was, having jumped out his open window and lying in a crumpled heap in the smelly dumpster outside his apartment building. You win this round, Mijetsu-san. But mark my words, I will win the war. Looking forward to it, Kit, the Kyuubi giggled in return. Now go wash up. Your team meeting is in 1 hour. Hi, he grumbled, climbing out. He took a whiff of himself. Ugh, I'm going to need a shower. Half an hour later, Naruto was roof-hopping toward the meeting location specified in the note he received from the Hokage. Surprisingly, he was the last of his teammates to arrive, not counting their Junin instructor. Sakura doesn't appear to have done much training. Probably too busy chazzing after Sasuke team, he mentally grumbled. While he had finally gotten over his crush, it didn't mean that her continued interest in the breedy bastard didn't bother him. Sasuke team on the other hand looked stronger and arrogant. Really arrogant. I bet he's so full of himself that if he tried to look down on someone, he'd have to physically bend backwards just to pull it off. I feel bad for you, Kit. You have a duck-ass emo and his #1 fangirl for a team. Kami-sama must hate you, despite your bloodline. Mentally grumbling at that, Naruto leapt down from the neighboring building onto the academy roof, much to his new teammate's surprise. That surprise quickly changed into open-mouth gawking upon noticing Naruto's transformation. Naruto Sakura stuttered, unable to believe her eyes. The Jinchuriki merely nodded. What in Kami-sama's name happened to you? She demanded, looking him over. Where there was once an annoying fashion-blind knucklehead, what stood in its place now was a totally different person. For one, his outfit actually looked good. It screamed professionalism. And he also looked stronger, much stronger. But he's still no match for my Sasuke-kun. She thought with a mental squeal. Few shudder from Sasuke. I just decided that it was time for a change, Naruto said, completely oblivious to Sasuke's sudden discomfort. After all, if I want to be acknowledged by the village, I can't appear or be weak or useless. Right, Sakura. That last comment made the Pinkette flinch as if physically struck. Well, she hadn't paid it much thought. There had been a couple nights when she wondered if she'd been too harsh in refuting the blonde, especially once Sakura realized that Naruto hadn't pestered her at all since that fateful day. Was this the result of that? He didn't add the affectionate suffix to her name this time. And those eyes. Cold blue eyes that gazed down upon her. So much like Sasuke's, and yet radically different. It peered into her very soul and for some reason, she felt as if he deemed her lacking. And that hurt. Throughout all this, Sasuke didn't say a word. No, instead, he observed, that's what the Uchiha do. Even without the Sharingan, his eyes easily picked up several important details about his transformed teammate. For instance, the way Naruto was subtle shifting his weight back and forth, or how despite his attention seemed focused on Sakura, his eyes would periodically sweep the vicinity with surprising sharpness. He's scanning everything in the area, noting all the escape points, all the potential weapons, everything Naruto Uzumaki. Just what have you been up to these past 2 months? He thought, his eyes narrowing slightly. However, before he could think on it any further, a burst of smoke signaled the arrival of their sensei. 3 hours late. His eye was starting to twitch again. Yo, the man greeted, not even bothering to look at his new students. Instead, much to the 3 Genin's annoyance, he was totally engrossed in a book that everyone in Konoha knew contained smut. Cue synchronized eye twitch. You're late. Sakura screeched, only to be completely ignored. He doesn't look like much, Naruto thought, taking the opportunity to analyze the Genin. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with gravity-defying silver hair and garbed in the standard Genin uniform. The only things that stood out about him were the mask covering his mouth and nose and his hit eye, which was tilted to cover up his left eye. All in all, he wasn't what one would expect for an elite Genin. Is this guy for real? Be careful, Kit. Despite how he looks, this man is strong. He's easily in the top 20 in Konoha, the Kyuubi warned. Top 20? Are you serious, Mijetsu-san? Absolutely. I'll teach you later, but I can sense this man's chakra. It's one of the larger ones I've felt from you humans. Good to know, Naruto thought, now looking at the man in a new light. Still, a sweat drop appeared. Isn't there some law prohibiting people from reading smut in front of minors? As if reading his thoughts, the man finally stopped reading and examined each of his students. His eyes lingered for a moment on Naruto, but otherwise, didn't react to his new attire. The tension in the air began to rise, causing all 3 Genin to tense, and then, I smiled. Yo. You already said that. Naruto and Sakura both screamed. Sasuke twitched again. So you little kiddies are the new Team 7. He gave them all a long, hard look. My first impression of you is that you'll either be an interesting team, or I'll hate you all. Cue sweat drop. Well, we'll see which one it ends up being. Now sit down and introduce yourselves. What would you like us to say? Sakura asked timidly. Things you like, things you hate, dreams for the future. Stuff like that. No, do you think you could start first, sensei? Sure. My name is Kakashi Haddock. My likes are reading among other things. Dislikes, hobbies, I think I'll keep that to myself. As for my dreams for the future, well, you're all too young to know that. Their sweat drop grew. But if you want to know, I'll tell you. No answer. Good answer. Now, you, Pinky. You're next. Sakura huffed at the nickname, her earlier shyness disappearing upon hearing the jab to her hair. Fine. My name is Sakura Haruno. My likes, she glances at a certain Uchiha and giggles. My hobbies, she looks again at Sasuke, who was beginning to feel very uncomfortable. My dreams for the future, and maybe a trickle of blood went down her lip as her face lit up brighter than a tomato. She turned back to the object of her affections, only to see Naruto in his place and the Uchiha scrambling to get as far away from the girl as physically possible in their meeting area. But just. Naruto blinked in surprise. Did he just forcibly switch places with me using the Kawarimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique? I hate to say it, Kit, but he's good or scared. Really, really scared. Personally, I think it's the latter. That girl's mind just went straight to the gutter. It might even be the gutter. That's disturbing. The girl has needs. She's 13. Girls mature sooner than boys. And I'm willing to bet she's also a closet pervert. Just be glad it's not you she's after. Closet perverts always have a lot of weird fetishes. I wouldn't be surprised if she's into BDSM. I can't believe I'm thinking this, but I might actually pity Sasuke right now. Moving right along, Kakashi said, clearly not comfortable with a teenage girl having sexual fantasies about her teammate. Your turn, duck ass. Naruto snickered. Sasuke scowled. Sakura didn't notice. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, the raven-haired youth started. I have very few likes and many dislikes, mainly my thousands of fangirls. He glared at the Pinkette, but, of course, she didn't get the hint. My hobbies are training and learning new techniques. I have no dreams either, but rather, an ambition to restore my clan and kill the man responsible for its demise. No surprise there given his history, but if he keeps that mindset, that revenge will be his downfall, Kakashi thought. He pointed at Naruto. And finally, our resident blonde. Naruto just chuckled. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are trying out new things, the few people that see me for me, ramen, and reading. The boy grinned at the surprised looks on his teammates' faces. My dislikes are people who can't see past their prejudices, perverts, fangirls, true criminals, and traitors. My hobbies include training, hunting, studying seals, inventing new techniques, and cooking. My dream. Naruto paused. He had spent much of the past 2 months trying to figure out what he wanted for the future. He still wanted to protect the village and he still wanted to be acknowledged by the villagers, but would being Hokage be possible, given the ingrained prejudice the village as a whole already had toward him? Would it even be enough to accomplish what he wanted? Perhaps, instead of Hokage, it would be better to be my dream is to become a legend. Eyes widened at the absolute conviction and determination that coursed behind that statement. It wasn't a boast on Naruto's part. No, he made it sound as if it was a guaranteed fact that it would happen. What happened these past 2 months? He's so different from before, Sakura and Sasuke thought. Seems like Naruto is actually the most interesting and normal of them all, despite what he carries. Heh, I might actually learn to like these kids, probably not, Kakashi thought, standing up. Okay. Now that we all know a bit about each other, Q collective eye twitch once again from his students. Let's head on down to training ground 7. We'll begin your test there. Test? What kind of test, sensei? Sakura asked. Survival training. But we already did that in the academy. Yes, you did, but not my brand of survival training. A cold shiver went down each of the teens' spines. Think of it as a test that will prove to me that you can be true shinobi of Konoha. In fact, that is exactly what it is. If you pass, then it means that you're ready for active duty. However, if you fail, you will be sent back to the academy. Kakashi grinned menacingly at them. And just so you know, my test has a 67% chance of failure. I hope you're ready. With that, he vanished in a puff of smoke. Scene break. Training ground 7. Okay, kiddies. The test is simple. He showed them 2 bells. You 3 have until the timer goes off to get one of these bells off of my belt. You are to come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise, you will fail, Kakashi explained. Sakura, however, noticed something. But, Kakashi-sensei. There are only 2 bells. The older man smiled. Precisely. Whoever doesn't get a bell will automatically fail and be sent back to the academy. Instantly, the 3 genin stiffened. The timer will sound at noon, which is 2 hours from now. And just so you know, whoever fails to get a bell will also be tied to one of these posts behind me, and I will force you to watch me eat your lunch in front of you. As if on cue, 2 loud growls suddenly made themselves known. So that's why the note said not to eat breakfast. Damn him, thought Sasuke and Sakura. Fortunately, Naruto had ignored that rather stupid instruction on the note. The Hokage had told him many times over his childhood that food, especially breakfast, was vital for any shinobi to have. I'm glad I ate then. But still, something isn't adding up. I just can't put my finger on it though. Any ideas, Mijetsu-san? The kyuubi, however, remained silent. Oh, she knew what the hidden meaning behind this test was. She was an ancient demon lord after all. But she also knew she couldn't hold her vessel's hand through everything. No, he would have to figure this one out on his own, no matter the consequences. Well, if you 3 are ready, just remember to come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise, you won't stand a chance. The teens nodded. Alrighty then. Begin. Instantly, Sasuke and Sakura jumped into the trees to hide and plan. Naruto, however, stayed put, still trying to figure out what the true purpose of the test was. Naruto? Kakashi asked. The teen looked up. You do realize this is a test, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what's the catch. Catch? A small smile spread under the Jinin's mask, not that it showed. Has he really figured it out? Not sure, it's right on the edge of my tongue, but it keeps escaping me. Naruto huffed in exasperation. I'll think on it more in a bit. Oh, so are you going to hide now? Kakashi asked. He was a little disappointed that the boy hadn't figured it out yet, but still, he had at least looked underneath the underneath. In a sec. But first, I want to try something. What's that? Oh no, can I have a bell? Please. The man smiled. Nope. But good on you for trying. I don't think anyone has ever done that before. Naruto smiled as he suddenly began building up chakra for one of the techniques he could do without hand seals. I'm Konoha's #1 unpredictable shinobi for a reason. True. Speaking of which, Repshim, wind release. Gale palm. A sudden gale of wind slammed into the Junin and caught him completely by surprise. The man was thrown into the air, and had it not been for his many years of training, he would have undoubtedly had a very intimate and painful meeting with the dirt. He just did an elemental ninjutsu without hand seals. I know Chiknin that can't do that. Kakashi thought as he flipped himself over and landed lightly on the ground. Let's see what else he can do in an instant. The one-eyed Jimnin had crossed the distance between the two and unleashed a lightning-fast punch. Much to his surprise, Naruto blocked the blow, letting the Cyclops' fist collide with his raised boot and using the punch's momentum to throw himself backwards, making a hand seal as he did so. 20 Narutos landed instead of one. Attack! The original shouted. Asu! The kid smart Kakashi thought as he met the clones head-on. Within seconds, he had dispersed 7 of the duplicates and was well on his way to dispatching the others, even as he weaved around their kicks. He knows that he can't beat me, so he's trying to keep his distance by using clones, and that strange taijutsu style of his knocking aside one of the clones, the Jinin flipped through a set of seals and took a deep breath. Kaiten. Kankakuk no Jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique. A mighty blaze of orange fire roared into existence, instantly incinerating most of the clones as it barreled a trail of destruction toward the original. Suiton. Sujinheki, water release. Water encampment wall. Kakashi's lone eye bugged out upon seeing the wave of water that crashed into the flames, instantly dousing it. He can use 2 different elements. Minato-sensei, your son is fantastic. Suddenly, through the steam, 3 copies of his student appeared, their legs poised to strike. Epaule, shoulder. Collier, neck. Mouton shot, mutton shot. The 3 powerful kicks smashed into the Jinin's hastily raised guard, pushing him back several feet with numb arms. What strength. This is far above what a genin should be capable of. Kakashi thought, moving to disperse one of the clones only to be forced back by another barrage of kicks. I've never seen a taijutsu style like this one before. Does he only use his legs and feet? It's surprisingly versatile. He blocked another kick and immediately regretted not reinforcing his arm with chakra. Dangerous too. I haven't even had time to go look for Sasuke or Sakura. Said 2 genin were currently watching their teammates fight with their jaws planted firmly into the ground. And both had the exact same thought running through their minds. How had Naruto become so strong? It was ridiculous. In just 2 months, the former dead last of their class was seemingly matching, if not beating, an elite Chunin. Naruto's gotten so strong. He's actually fighting on par with Kakashi-sensei. Would I be able to do that? Is he actually stronger than me now? Sakura thought, biting her lip. How? Sasuke raged. How did the dope get so strong? I need that power. I need it to kill him. Just you wait, Naruto, I will learn your secrets. I will surpass you. He slowly stood up, being careful not to make any noise, and began building up his chakra. I can't let Naruto beat me here. This is my chance to see how far I've come. To see how close I am to getting my revenge. Once I see an opening, I'm going to take it. Fortunately for him, the opportunity came soon enough. As it turned out, Naruto had used the steam created from the clashing of their ninjutsu attacks to create several more clones, leaving Kakashi with his hands full. Every time he dispelled one clone, 2 more took its place. There's no end to them. He cursed, bursting a clone with a well-aimed punch before spinning around to hook kick 3 more. He didn't want to have to break his self-imposed handicap of fighting at Chunin level, but this was rapidly beginning to wear away at his patience. And still, more came. We're a one-man army. You can't take us all on, Kakashi-sensei. Yeah. Kakashi grit his teeth at the taunts and decided it was time to put an end to these clones. With a hand seal, the shinobi slapped his hand on the ground. Doten. Yomi Numa, earth release. Swamp of the underworld. The ground beneath their feet transformed. What was one solid earth became thick viscous mud that instantly ensnared all the clones in the vicinity. They were trapped. Kaiten. Msenka no Jutsu, fire release. Phoenix Age fire technique. Dozens of small fireballs rained down upon the helpless clones, dispersing many, and any that remained were soon burst as the swamp itself caught fire. Now where's the original? Kakashi thought, scanning the field. His eyes soon landed on the Jinchuriki and, upon seeing the boy finish a rather long seal sequence, one that he recognized with a faint sense of horror and astonishment, said 2 words. Well, shit. Suiton. Shuriken no Jutsu, water release. Water dragon bullet technique. The torrent of water, shaped in the form of a dragon, slammed into him with all the power of a meteor. And it didn't stop there. No, it plowed straight on through, smashing through dozens of trees and rocks before the chakra sustaining it was finally spent. And Kakashi. Well, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto's eyes widened. Kage Bunshin. You're not the only one who knows that technique, Naruto, a voice said behind him. Wham! The haymaker had Naruto seeing double as he stumbled back, utterly dazed. And no doubt, Kakashi would have finished the job and sent the teen into unconsciousness had another voice not spoken up. And you should be more aware of your surroundings, Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke had seen his opening. Whipping around, Kakashi raised his arm just in time to block the Uchiha's surprise roundhouse kick. Nice try, Sasuke-kun, but not good enough. The Chunin said, grabbing onto the limb. However, Sasuke wasn't done. Twisting his body around, Sasuke lashed out with a right overhand, only for it to stop cold upon meeting the older shinobi's hand. Undeterred, the boy twisted his body downward and swung his free leg over to hit his instructor's cranium, but once again, Kakashi stopped the blow, this time by raising both of his arms and inadvertently exposing the bells on his belt. Exactly what Sasuke wanted. Kakashi's eye widened upon seeing the Uchiha's hand moving straight for the bells. Shit. He immediately threw the boy away and leapt back with lightning speed. Bells jingled but still, they remained on the Chunin's belt. Damn it. The Uchiha cursed, landing in a crouch with his hand having already gone through a set of seals. Kaiten. Nkakik no Jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique. First Naruto and now Sasuke unbelievable. Kakashi thought, even as the roaring flames collided into him. The mighty blaze engulfed the entire area in front of the genin, incinerating everything in its path and leaving a smoldering crater once the prodigy had let the technique end. But the genin was nowhere to be seen, only a burnt log revealed what had happened. Replacement TCH. He had been so close. He had touched the bells. Just barely, but he had touched them. If it hadn't been for Kakashi's ridiculous reaction time, he would have passed right there and then and be one step closer to getting his revenge. He's gone. Sasuke turned to see Naruto walking up to him, having finally recovered from the haymaker Kakashi had laid on him. His head still hurt a bit though. He's probably out looking for Sakura. Then I'll find him. And you better not get in my way. I need to get those bells. Naruto scowled. He had intended to also thank the Uchiha for saving him earlier, but after that, no way in hell. The bastard really knew how to get on his nerves. You're not planning on rushing back in there, are you? You don't stand a chance. Sasuke bristled at the implied insult. I touched the bells. Can you say you've done that? I'm not trying to get the bells, Naruto countered, much to the Uchiha's surprise. What? Why not? If you don't get a bell, you'll fail and be sent back to the academy. I know that, but something isn't adding up, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head in frustration. I'm not sure what it is, but I know there's more to this test than meets the eye. Sasuke frowned. Now that he wasn't totally focusing on the apparent objective of the test, he could see that his blonde teammate was right. Something wasn't adding up here. Why had the Hokage apparently put the three of them together, only to have at least one member of the team fail? It didn't make sense. In fact, didn't the instructors at the academy say that all squadrons of shinobi, besides elite Chunin and Anbu, would be put into teams of 4? Wait, Sasuke's eyes widened. That's it. Teamwork. That's the whole point of this, isn't it? He looked back at Naruto, who was scanning the area for either Kakashi or their pink-haired teammate. Naruto. The Jinchuriki nodded once, showing that he was listening. I think I've figured out the meaning behind this test, but we're going to need to find Sakura first. Scene break. Faster. I have to run faster. Those were the only thoughts running through Sakura's mind as she ran as fast as her feet would take her through the dense trees in Training Ground 7. She had seen the fight between Naruto, Sasuke and Kakashi and knew that she was out of her league. If Sasuke, coolness and hotness incarnated, couldn't beat the Chunin, then there was no way in hell she could. So she ran. She ran as fast as she could. The dense foliage became a blur around her as the Pinket ran because she knew that Kakashi was not far behind her. Somehow, and she didn't know how, but somehow, she could sense him. He was 50 meters northwest and closing in fast. I don't stand a chance against him. I need to find Sasuke-kun and Naruto. Maybe together, we can take him. She thought, rushing to where she knew her teammates had been last. Ma, Sakura-chan, a voice suddenly said behind her. A chill went down her spine as she turned. Kakashi was standing right in front of her. Not good. You did a pretty good job of avoiding me, but you need to work on being quieter. Sakura. Get down. On. Repishim, wind release. Gale palm. A powerful gust of wind suddenly tore through the forest, very nearly hitting Sakura as she ducked and outright missing Kakashi, who had dodged with ridiculous speed. But hitting him with a ninjutsu hadn't been the aim. No, it was only a distraction. From out of the bushes, Naruto and Sasuke appeared, the former smashing a hard sidekick into the Chunin's hastily raised guard, while the latter attempted to cut the bells of Kakashi's belt with several precisely thrown shuriken. Oh no you don't. Kakashi said, twisting himself around and avoiding the projectiles. While he was able to save the bells, the shuriken were close enough to cut open his weapons pouch, spilling its contents onto the floor, including no. Kakashi's eyes widened. His limited first edition, autographed copy of Icha Paradise. My precious. Sakura. Sasuke barked, forming hand seals. Grab the bells on our signal. What signal? She demanded back, the stress of the situation overriding her usual fangirl tendencies. You'll know. You ready, Naruto? Go for it. Pain. Nkakik no Jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique. On. Repishim, wind release. Gale palm. The two techniques met midway in their warpath toward their target and fused suddenly. Instead of a small torrent of fire and a gale of wind, there was a massive fireball easily 3 times bigger than when it started and at least twice as powerful, if the tinges of blue throughout the flames were any indication. And Kakashi? Well, he was frozen in shock. They just combined 2 C-rank jutsus into what could easily be classified as a low A-rank fireball of death. And it's heading straight for me. Gotta move. He dived away, just barely saving himself from the flaming ball of death that incinerated everything in its path. However, his last-minute dive also left him wide open, giving Sakura the chance to throw a kunai that sliced the strings holding the bells. Instantly, Sasuke and Sakura swooped in like starving animals to snag a bell while Naruto, seeing that Kakashi was already moving to intercept his teammates, attacked the Jinnin with another barrage of kicks, keeping him at bay. Yada. Sakura cheered. I got a bell. That means I get to stay with Sasuke-kun. Sasuke, who had just moments ago been smirking proudly, now had a look of absolute horror on his face. He looked at the bell, then at Naruto, then back at the bell. Naruto. Bell. Naruto. He opened his mouth to speak but was stopped by Kakashi, who had just walked up to them, looking utterly unfazed at having very nearly been incinerated. Well, I have to admit that you all are very skilled, but it appears that you, Naruto, do not have a bell. That means you fail and have to go back to the academy, Kakashi said. Now starts the true test. Will they bind together as a real team, or was that display just now and in the moment kind of thing? Upon hearing this, Sakura immediately felt guilt welling up inside her. She knew she hadn't really done much in the grand scheme of things. Sure, she had been the one to actually cut the bells off Kakashi's belt, but if it hadn't been for Naruto and Sasuke's intervention and saving her and giving her the chance to do so, she would no doubt be walking back to the academy right now. I have to make a choice. To do what is right or what is easy. She had often heard her father say that to her, but it wasn't until now did she truly understand how difficult it could be to make that decision. I don't deserve this bell, Naruto does, and after what I said to him at graduation, it's only right that he gets to move on. A sad smile graced her lips. Maybe during the year I'm back in the academy, I can train myself to be as good as Sasuke-kun and Naruto. Taking a deep breath to steel herself, she turned to the blonde boy who once harbored a crush for her. Naruto. He looked at her. Take my bell. Eyes widened all around. You and Sasuke-kun were the ones who did all the work. You've earned this, not me, and it's the least I can do after what I did on graduation. Her voice, while sad, was strong and determined. She knew she was doing the right thing. No, Naruto, take my bell, Sasuke said, much to everyone's surprise. Even the kyuubi and the Hokage, who was watching everything from his crystal ball, were surprised at this very Uchiha-like action. Little did they know, Sasuke was sure this was another test and thus, making an obvious show of teamwork between them. That, and if he was proven wrong, he would be saved from having to be in a squad with a fangirl. Naruto shook his head. No. You both have a bell, meaning you both pass. He turned to face Kakashi with a determined glint in his eyes. I'll fight Kakashi-sensei for my spot on this team. He raised his leg into his starting stance, ready to kick a hole through his opponent if necessary. The atmosphere began to stifle. Power weighed down upon them all as Naruto and Kakashi glared at each other, each daring the other to take the first move, and then the Jinnin smiled. You pass. Eh? You all pass. We all pass, but how? Sakura screamed as Sasuke and Naruto straightened with identical smirks. Wait, did you two know about this already? Uchiha shrugged. It was a hunch I had earlier. We were taught back in the academy that all shinobi besides elite Chunin and Anbu operatives were put into squads of 4. Why would the reality be any different? I realized that this test must be designed to test teamwork. It's more than that, Kakashi said, drawing the 3 genins' attention. Understand that as shinobi, you must put the village before all else, be it your own future aspirations. He looked at Naruto. Revenge. He looked at Sasuke. Or personal relationships. He looked at Sakura. When you put on that headband, you essentially promise to cast aside those things for the greater good of the village. That does not mean, however, Kakashi interjected, cutting off all 3 teenagers' protests. That you have to give those very things up. By supporting the village, by being a teammate to each other and Konoha as a whole, you too will also be supported. Konoha will help you and support you in your endeavors in any way it can, whatever they may be. Your individual strengths will flourish, and with teammates of equal prowess at your side, teammates that you trust who feel the same for you, there is no telling what you can't accomplish. I smiled at them. That is why you passed. You three, despite your differences and dreams, showed the ability to make those difficult choices. To be a true comrade to each other, it's not an easy thing, I know. But believe me when I say that it's worth it. The three youths looked at each other. No matter where you three go in the future, I want you to remember this. He gave them all a piercing, soulful look. They say that those who break the rules and codes of the shinobi are trash. But the truth of the matter is that those who forsake and don't care for their comrades are even worse than that. At this, a ray of sunlight pierced through the canopy and illuminated the newly minted Team 7. The warmth of the sun filled their hearts as understanding flooded their young minds, bringing a smile to Sasuke's face, a giggle to Sakura's, and a beaming grin on Naruto's. Those words their instructor had just said would forever be ingrained in their hearts. Kakashi thrust out a thumbs up. All three of you pass. Congratulations to the new Team 7. Report tomorrow at the Hokage's office at 8 AM for our first mission. Hi. The son of the White Fang smiled and reached back to take out his signature book, only to find it missing. Wait, didn't Sasuke and Naruto cut open his weapons pouch? He had forgotten in the heat of the moment. It must be lying around somewhere then. Looking around, the Jonin tried to find his precious book, only no, he rushed over to the scorched earth from his student's combo attack. His heart went cold. No. Say it isn't so. There, in the midst of the destruction, was a small pile of ash. The only recognizable part of that ash was a small shred of paper, showing part of one kanji. The kanji for Icha. Something snapped. Oh boys. Sasuke and Naruto turned around, only to see Kakashi disappear and reappear directly behind them with a clone. Hanahagakur Hiden. Taijutsu no Gai. Senengarashi, Hidden Leaf Village Secret Finger Technique. 1000 Years of Death. Iyaya. That's for my precious book. Scene break. Outskirts of Konoha. This is it, Naruto-kun. This is. Yes, Naruto-kun. This is the place. This is your home. 2 hours after Kakashi's test, Naruto and the Sandaime Hokage found themselves standing out on the village's outskirts, gazing at a moderate-sized compound with walls surrounding it. It was his home, Naruto's home. He couldn't help but stare at the place that was his birthright. This is where I would have grown up in had my parents survived, Jinchuriki thought, running his hands over the walls. It was a surreal experience. Sarutobi gave the youth a small, sad smile and led him inside. The compound itself was similar in design to that of the Hyuga clan, only smaller in overall size and surrounded by Konoha's lush forests. The main house was on the slightly large side, complete with 4 bedrooms and baths, a massive kitchen, much to Naruto's delight, a spacious living room and dining room, an office, a library, and a large backyard with enough space for training. By the time Naruto had finished exploring, the Hokage had led him to the master bedroom where, much to the boy's surprise, Sarutobi revealed a staircase hidden behind one of the bookshelves. Wha? He questioned. You'll see soon enough. Come along, Naruto-kun. The two descended down the stairs and soon entered a large chamber that was easily twice the size of his old apartment. And at the chamber's center was a pedestal that held a sword. It was beautiful though. It was similar in design to that of an okatana, with a long silvery white blade that was slightly wider than per usual and engraved with shimmering gold runes. The handguard was a simple gold disc, while the pommel was elaborately designed with 3 golden wings wrapped around a white jewel. All in all, a blade fit to be wielded by the angels of heaven themselves. Gigi. Tell me, Naruto-kun, how much do you know about your bloodline? Not much. I know that it's called Tentai, heavenly body, gives me access to a higher form of chakra known as celestial chakra that is affiliated towards Seton, holy release, and that I'll eventually be able to create wings to fly. A nostalgic smile spread across Sarutobi's face. Ah yes, those angelic wings. Truly, they were a sight to behold for the few fortunate enough to activate them. Net Gigi, do you know why so few Uzumakis activate their bloodline? As a matter of fact, I do. It's the circumstances behind the activation that makes it so difficult. The individual must, in the face of adversity, make an utterly selfless wish to save or protect another without any thought of benefit for themselves. That is why it is so difficult to awaken the Tentai, heavenly body. Any Uzumaki member purposely attempting to awaken it is automatically thinking of benefiting themselves, thus negating the requirements. Now wasn't that complicated. So, what does that have to do with the sword? The sword, Naruto-kun, is an heirloom of your clan that can only be wielded by the clan head. It is one of the few weapons in this world capable of harnessing celestial chakra and is extremely powerful tool in the right hands. He gestured for Naruto to take the blade. This is your birthright, Naruto. This is the legendary blade of the Uzumaki clan Tenyu. Chapter 4 A Divine Meeting. DT Tenyu Mijetsu screamed. What's wrong, Mijetsu-san? Naruto asked frantically. If what your Hokage said is true, that blade is one of the most powerful weapons in the 9 realms and a gift from the very gods themselves. What? Let me explain, Mijetsu said, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. In this universe, there are I've never heard of a god of destruction. That's not surprising. In fact, no one knows if the deity has an official name. That doesn't make it any less dangerous though. At one point, the god of destruction tried to destroy the 9 realms, and had it not been for the combined might of the 9 demon lords, kami, shinigami, and the elemental lords, we wouldn't be standing here now. Wait. You're losing me here. I get that that's bad, but what do you mean by realms? Right, sorry. Basically, there are 9 realms. You exist within the realm of mortals, and when you die, your soul will go to the purgatory where you will be judged. From there, depending on your thoughts and actions in life, your soul will go to either heaven, which is where pure souls go to exist in eternity, or hell, which is where souls go when they have committed crimes so terrible that they forsake their right to ascend forever. Naruto's eyes widened. Despite being a shinobi, the Jinchuriki was still a young teenager and thus could not truly comprehend a person doing something so evil that they would forever be barred from heaven. Hard as it may be to understand, there are souls who would go to that length for any number of reasons, be they mortal, demon, or otherwise. They eventually transform into devils to reflect on the outside what they truly are on the inside. Naruto shuddered at this. Anyways, continuing on, my kind generally exists in the realm of demons, also known as Makai, while the animal summons you shinobi have contracts with live in the realm of nature. Finally, there's the realm of the elements, the realm of the immortals, which is where you'd find the lesser gods, angels, divine beasts, etc. And the realm of the divine, which is where higher gods like Kami-sama or Shinigami-sama exist. And connecting all these realms together is the void, which isn't a realm in itself, since it has no physical plane that we know of, but it is still a power nonetheless. Alright. So what does that have to do with the sword? The gods cannot directly interfere with the mortal realm. It is one of the few laws that all gods must obey, whether they like it or not. But that same rule doesn't apply to their followers, and many of them escaped into the mortal realm, despite our best efforts. That is why we demon lords are here in the elemental nations, we were tasked with finding and destroying them all. Unfortunately, you mortals interfered, sealing us away for our powers, the kyuubi said, grumbling that last comment and causing Naruto to wince. To think, the Big had originally come to the elemental nations to protect them, and what did shinobi do in thanks? Seal them away to harness their powers. No wonder they hated humans so much. Anyways, with so many of the god of destruction's followers in the mortal realm, the other gods decided to bestow you mortals with several gifts to protect yourselves. Your bloodline limit, Tentai, heavenly body, was one of those gifts, and that sword is another. Wow, Naruto couldn't help but look at the sword with a new sense of reverence. Tentai and Tenyu, these are gifts from Kami-sama, the goddess of life, right? Correct. What, am I really going to be allowed to use such an awesome sword? Assuming you pass its test, yes. Test? What test? Tenyu, heavenly grace, is a holy sword that is completely and utterly indestructible. It is also one of the few weapons in all the realms that can channel celestial chakra. To ensure that the blade can never be misused, Kami-sama made sure that it can only be wielded by an Uzumaki that has activated Tentai and one who has passed the blade's test. But how can a sword test me? It's just a sword, right? It's a sword created and sent by Kami herself. Is it really so surprising that it would be sentient? Okay, point. So what kind of test will this be? I don't know. I'm a demon lord. I would never be allowed to use the sword, let alone be given its test. You'll just have to find out on your own. Naruto frowned, looking again at the legendary sword before a question came to mind. Mijetsu-san. What other gifts were sent to this world? Quite a few, actually, Mijetsu answered. I don't know them all, but I do know that there's Shikei, death penalty, Mugetsu, moonless kai, Kusanagi no Tsurugi, grass mowing sword, and the aim no Naboko, heavenly jeweled spear, though that one was supposedly returned to the gods at some point. There were also talismans left by the elemental lords, with each one supposedly giving the user near total control over an element. I believe your Nindame Hokage found the talisman of lightning and used it to create his sword, the Raijin no Ken, sword of the thunder god. Wow, Naruto breathed. He looked at the Sandame, who was waiting patiently, albeit watching him closely, and asked, Jiji, do you know the history behind this sword? I do, Naruto-kun. Which is why I am offering you the chance to wield it. Whether you pass its test or not, I know you will be a great shinobi and an even greater man. Naruto beamed at his surrogate grandfather's confidence in him. Steeling himself, he stepped forward. It's even more beautiful up close, he thought, his eyes tracing every single centimeter of the legendary blade. Well, he gulped. This is the moment of truth. He took the sword's handle and everything went dark. Scene break. Naruto blinked. He was in his mindscape. The picture-perfect scene of rolling green hills and dense forests with a large mansion at its center didn't exist anywhere in Konoha. And seeing Mijetsu, who had run out of her home upon sensing his presence, further confirmed that. "Naruto?" the kyuubi said in surprise. "What are you doing here? Weren't you going to take the Tenyu's test?" "That's what I thought, but one second, I'm picking up the sword, and the next, I'm here," Naruto said, looking equally confused. "How did I end up here anyways?" "That would be because of me," an ethereal voice suddenly said. A myriad of lights suddenly washed over the field. It sparkled and shined in a way that was utterly indescribably but undeniably beautiful as it seemingly enveloped them both. And then, it began to coalesce brighter and brighter. It shined before it settled, revealing a gorgeous woman whose appearance seemed to constantly change. Tall and short, skinny and fat, busty and petite, red hair, brown hair, blonde, black, old, young, what Naruto saw before him was the face of human life itself, in all its beautiful forms. It brought a tear to his eye. And Naruto knew that this woman before him could only be one being. He kneeled. "Kami-sama." Beside him, Mijetsu also went down on one knee. "Greeting, Kami-sama. To what do we owe this honor?" Surprisingly, there was a hint of playfulness in her voice. "Oh, get up, Mei-chan," the deity laughed, pulling the demoness into a hug. One that was happily returned. "It's good to see you again after all these years. We've missed you." "I've missed you too, and it's good to see you." Mijetsu pulled back and took a good hard look at the deity standing before her. "Or at least, a projection of you. You know full well that I can't directly interact with the mortal realm. This is the best I can do given the circumstances, and besides, if I were to even send a fragment of myself, the power alone would destroy the boy and half the planet in the process." "True," she said, giggling a little upon seeing Naruto gap at the goddess's power. "I take it you're here to administer the test." "Yes." The goddess of life turned to look at Naruto, who had yet to raise his head. She smiled softly. "Raise your head, Naruto-kun. As good as it is to see Mijetsu-chan, I am here for you." Eyes wide, Naruto slowly raised his head and stood up. "You're administering the test, Kami-sama." "Yes, I am, Naruto-kun. I already know that your mind, heart and soul are pure. You have proven that time and again throughout your short life, and in my eyes, I believe that you're already worthy to wield Tenyu. So instead, what I will be testing is your strength of will and your strength of heart." "Haha." Naruto and Mijetsu chorused, cocking both of their heads to the side. Kami smiled and giggled seeing the two mimic each other. "You saw just a few weeks ago that the curse that had Mijetsu-chan attacking Konoha is still somewhat in effect. And while the awakening of your bloodline has defeated the majority of it, there are still some remnants of it within her." Now that was a surprise. And it also did not sound good. "I will draw out the curse, but it is your task to destroy it. Understand this though, Naruto-kun, the curse is powerful enough to affect a demon lord. It warped Mijetsu-chan's mind and directed her to attack your village, despite her positive history with its people prior to the attack. I have no doubts it will also purposely take the forms of people who make you angry so that it can influence you." Naruto frowned. There was a lot more riding on his success than what he had originally been expecting. Would he be up to the task? Could he really do this? Slender arms suddenly wrapped themselves around him and pulled the boy into a hug. "Don't start doubting yourself now, Naruto-kun. I believe in you. I know you can do this." A smile came unbidden to his lips. Yes. This was for Mijetsu. He could do this. He would not fail. Naruto turned and faced Kami, a look of determination on his face. "I'm ready, Kami-sama. Brace yourself, Naruto-kun. You won't like this one bit." Black smoke suddenly began to rise off of Mijetsu and coalesce into a form. First arms, then legs, and then the rest of the body took shape. Tall with spiky blonde hair. A billowing white coat. Naruto's eyes widened. No, he knew that face. It belonged to the person that, at one point, had been his idol. Now, it was someone who was responsible for all the suffering he had experienced. Beyond Hokage already, Naruto could feel anger bubbling up within him. The figure smirked, a decidedly twisted look smeared all over his face. "Hello, Naruto-kun. How has life been?" "You bastard," he growled. "What's wrong, Naruto-kun?" The curse taunted. "Didn't you enjoy the life I gave you?" He snapped. In an instant, Naruto had crossed the distance between them, his leg already in mid-swing toward the man's face with murder in his eyes. Collar, neck. Wham. Somehow, in the split second Naruto had taken to cross the distance between them, the fake Yondaime Hokage had seen through his attack and countered with a powerful kick of his own. Their legs smashed into each other and for a moment, time froze and their eyes met before it was broken as the man's kick overpowered Naruto's, sending him crashing into the ground. "So weak?" the curse taunted. "Is that the best you can do? Or are you as weak as everyone in Konoha believes you to be?" Naruto glared at his opponent and spat out a glob of blood as he pushed himself onto his feet. It's not over yet. He yelled. Ton. Repishim, Gale Palm. The sudden use of ninjutsu caught the curse off guard, sending him flying back with the wind as Naruto suddenly appeared behind him. Kotelet, rib. Cell, lower back. The two kicks sent his opponent into the air where a clone was waiting, his foot already swinging with deadly intent. Bass coat, shoulder roast. The powerful kick sent the fake yondaime spinning, but before he could hit the ground, another two clones appeared and instantly, the four Narutos unleashed an unrelenting combo of kicks. Lunge, loin. Dendron, collar. Planchet, stomach. Huesai, rump. Gyu, tail. Gyuso, thigh. Garrett, shin. Bow shot, Beal shot. The finisher, unleashed by all four Narutos at once, struck their opponent right in the center of his torso, with enough force to smash boulders. The fake yondaime cried out as he was sent flying through the air and through a couple trees, before he finally tumbled onto the ground and laid there motionless. Silence reigned for a moment until get up. No answer. There's no way that was enough to finish you, Naruto growled, glaring angrily at his opponent. Get your ass up so I can kick it and you into a bloody pulp properly. Silence. And then, heh. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Heh 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 heh. The curse suddenly shot up onto his feet, totally unharmed. A crazed look entered its eyes as he pointed at the Jinchuriki. So this is the extent of your strength, Naruto. I was right. You are weak. Too weak to beat me and too weak to ever accomplish any of your dreams. Before Naruto could even register what the man had said, his clones were destroyed and he was under attack. Aura. Blows rained down upon him and the Jinchuriki found himself utterly unable to defend. His body screamed in protest, but the assault was unrelenting. What's wrong, Naruto? I thought you said you were going to beat me into a bloody pulp, Naruto. Come on. Fight back. Fight back. Or is this the best you can do? It's not over yet. With Herculean effort, Naruto parried some of the attacks and retaliated with a sweeping kick. Jigo, legs. Not good enough. The curse taunted, easily dodging the attack and smashing his fist into the boy's cheek. Collar, neck. Epaule, shoulder. Too weak. Kotelet, rib. Cell, lower back. Is that all you can do? Poitrine, breast. So pathetic. Would you like me to show you how a beatdown is really done? Grrr mutton shot, gyahh. Mid-kick, the fake yondaime suddenly appeared beside him and drove his elbow into Naruto's stomach, driving the air from his lung and spraying blood into the air as he hit the ground. Unfortunately, the curse didn't let up. The attack was immediately followed up with a crushing axe kick that, with an audible snap, broke at least two of Naruto's ribs. Gah. Ugh. This is as far as you go, Naruto. You will die right here. Mijetsu will be under my control once more and this time around, I will make sure she destroys everything in the mortal realm. Congratulations, Naruto. The curse laughed. Thanks to your failure here, the world of the shinobi will end. I can't beat him. Naruto thought, coughing up blood as the foot pushed harder and harder onto his broken ribs. He's too strong. What can I do? What can I do? His eyes fell upon Mijetsu, who was watching the fight with clear worry and concern for him on her face. No, I can't give up now. This is for Mijetsu-san. This is for the world. I can't give up. I won't. Focus, Naruto, you can do this. I just need 1 second. Just 1 second and I can beat him. Seat Rick. Tanjiri, Holy Sword style. Celestial slash. The wave of pure golden white chakra suddenly slammed into the fake yondaime, sending him flying back with a pain-filled cry and black blood gushing out from the gash that opened up across its chest. He crashed into the ground and found himself unable to move as chains of holy energy suddenly wrapped around him. Who? Naruto weakly looked up. She was beautiful. Standing at 5.5 feet, the woman had long fiery red hair, violet eyes, and a slender figure. She was dressed in an elegant white kimono with intricate gold patterns sewn onto it and held Tenyu in her right hand. But these facts weren't what captured Naruto's attention. No, what caught his eye were the angelic wings attached to her upper back. Tenshi, angel. Naruto-chan, I swear if you don't kick this curse's ass, I will ground you until the end of eternity. Is that clear? His eyes widened. No, it couldn't be. But he couldn't deny the blossoming warmth and hope in his heart as the woman looked into his eyes and gave him a loving smile. Ka-san. Naruto whispered. The angel nodded with tears in her eyes. How? I was the last wielder of the Tenyu, Naruto-chan, she said, much to Naruto's surprise. The sword will always give help to those who selflessly ask for it. And you have done that. Naruto rubbed the tears from his eyes. There's so much I want to ask you, Ka-san. So much I want to tell you too. The angel's heart broke upon seeing the look in her son's eyes. And I want to hear every bit of it, Naruto-chan. Believe me, there's nothing I want more. Truly. But my being here is a temporary thing. I can already feel my soul returning to heaven. What? No. With what little strength he still had, Naruto pushed himself back onto his feet and all but fell into his mother, his arms wrapping around the angel's waist. And as the woman's arms circled him and held him tight, tears fell. My first hug from my mom, he thought, clinging tighter to his mother. Don't go, Ka-san. I don't want to either, Naruto-chan, but we don't have a choice, she answered in a choked voice. She pulled back and looked her boy in the eyes, memorizing everything she could before she had to depart. Never forget, Naruto-chan, that I love you. I love you with everything that I am, and I will be watching you from above. The boy nodded weakly. Good. The angel looked at the curse, who was still struggling with the chains, despite having healed his wound. The time is now, Naruto. She presented the handle of Tenyu to her son. Take up the holy sword and beat this son of a bitch with all the fury of heaven itself. Fight, Naruto. And become a champion of Kami. As he grasped the legendary blade, strength suddenly surged through his body. Naruto gave a mighty roar and immediately launched himself at the curse, Tenyu raised high and glowing with heavenly energy. Seatbrick. Tanjiri, holy release. Celestial slash. The curse didn't stand a chance. The crescent of holy chakra slammed into its body and very nearly cleaved the being in half. However, before the curse could even cry out in pain, Naruto had plunged his sword straight through its heart and unleashed every single bit of holy chakra into the being's body. Cracks began to appear across the fake Yondame's face, then its arms, then legs, and then its entire body. All of a sudden, the curse threw its head back and let loose an unearthly scream as the holy chakra began to consume him. No. It cried, somehow fighting through the pain enough to speak. It can't end like this. My purpose. My mission. I cannot fail. Naruto and Mijetsu's heads shot up. In an instant, the Jinchuriki had Tenyu pointed at the curse's neck and growled, what mission? What are you talking about? Answer and I'll put you out of your misery. The curse didn't respond. In the midst of its pain, it somehow flashed an absolutely sinister grin at Naruto just before the holy energy overtook him. He screamed out once more and with one final "no." It vanished in a dazzling explosion of white light. Damn. What could he have been talking about? Naruto thought before suddenly feeling his adrenaline leave him. Oh, Kami-sama, I'm so sore. At least it's finally over. He felt exhausted, both physically and mentally. But it was all worth it upon seeing the dazzling smile on the kyuubi's face as she ran up to him and proceeded to crush him in a hug. You did it. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Mijetsu cried, squeezing the boy tighter. You were amazing. Naruto went bright red. His face was being pressed into the kyuubi rather generous bust. So soft yet firm. No. Bad thoughts. Thank goodness Mijetsu didn't hear those thoughts. Though, at this rate, it wouldn't matter since he was rapidly losing air. Mijetsu-san. You're suffocating me. Mijetsu immediately let go and jumped back. Oh, I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun. Are you alright? She ran her hands over the teen, checking to see if she had damaged him anywhere. Not once did the kyuubi realize that she was only embarrassing her vessel even more. Mijetsu-san, I'm fine. Naruto said, grabbing the woman's hands. Really, I'm alright. Are you okay? The soft, absolutely beautiful smile spread across Mijetsu's face as she gently wrapped Naruto in another hug. I've never felt better. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Thank you. Naruto once again blushed. The repeated care and attention Mijetsu had given him these past couple months had quickly developed into a crush for the demoness. And it didn't help that she was also absolutely beautiful. Her actions right now really weren't helping matters, but at the same time, Naruto knew that his attraction for her would forever be one-sided. I can't let these feelings get any stronger. I'm her jailer and she's an immortal demoness with a mate. Even if she wasn't sealed or with someone already, she'd have no reason to be attracted to me. Even so, it was hard to let go, especially wrapped in Mijetsu's arms. Yes, well done, Naruto-kun. Well done indeed, a voice said behind them. The hugging duo turned to see Kami walking up to them and quickly separated, much to one boy's disappointment, not that he'd ever say that out loud. You have overcome that which was beyond you for the sake of saving another. Then you recognized this and granted you the knowledge of how to use the first technique of Seitmryk Holy Sword style, the Tanjiri, Celestial Slash. I too recognize your incredible strength of will, your bravery, and above all else, your purity and selflessness. As such, I hereby deem you worthy to wield my blade against the evil forces that plague the mortal realm, the Tenyu. Congratulations, Naruto-kun. Naruto couldn't stop the beaming smile that spread across his face as Tenyu suddenly disappeared from his grip and reappeared on his hip with a beautiful scabbard protecting it. In time, Tenyu's conscience will fully awaken and serve as both friend and mentor. Until then, some basic sword training would not go amiss. Also, keep in mind that a divine weapon cannot be duplicated, so your clones, unless given the blade, will have to rely on their taijutsu. Naruto nodded to the deity's sound advice. Listen carefully, Naruto-kun. As my champion, you will undoubtedly face many challenges in your life. And I have the feeling that many things, good and bad, are about to unfold in the coming days. I cannot reveal what these events will be, but I will advise you to train hard and to not forget what your teacher said yesterday. The Jinchuriki blinked before again nodding. Good. Well, I must go now, but we will see each other again soon. Until next time, Mijetsu-chan, Naruto Uzumaki. And with that, the goddess of life gave them both a beaming smile before fading away. You should go too, Naruto-kun. I'm sure the Hokage is still waiting for you. Oh right. In all the excitement, Naruto had forgotten about his surrogate grandfather. I'll talk to you later, Mijetsu-san. Scene break. It was dark when Naruto came to and he groaned as he sat up. Rubbing his eyes, the Jinchuriki looked around and noted that he was back in the master bedroom on the bed. Jiji must have moved me when I started the test, he thought, stretching. Seeing the Sandaime Hokage asleep in a nearby armchair seemingly added credence to that thought. Looking down, the boy smiled upon seeing that Tenyu was strapped to his waist with its scabbard there as well. I know it wasn't a dream, but still, some of the things that have happened these past few months feel pretty outrageous to be real. Hopping off the bed, he walked over to the elderly shinobi and shook him. Oi. Wake up, Jiji. Wah? Sarutobi said blearily. It had been a long day, and getting some much-needed shut-eye in a house he knew was extremely well protected had been too tempting for the old man. Shaking himself out of his sleep, his eyes finally focused on the smiling face of his surrogate grandson. Naruto-kun. You're back. I take it that means you passed the Tenyu's test. Naruto nodded enthusiastically and held up the sword in emphasis. Yup. I even got to meet my Kasan. Your mother be, but how? I don't know. It was in the middle of the test and I was on the verge of losing when she suddenly appeared. She said something about being the previous wielder of the sword and that Tenyu would always provide help to those who selflessly ask for it. Naruto then blushed in embarrassment. She also threatened to ground me for the rest of eternity if I ever gave up. Sarutobi just barely stifled a laugh. Only you, Kushina, would have the guts to threaten your son from the afterlife. Net Jiji, I know that you told me to wait until I was Junin level and I understand why, but I got to see her and I was hoping you could tell me her name. Please. Never had the elder seen the boy so timid and hopeful. And when faced with that, who could possibly refuse? Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. And as I'm sure she told you, she loved you very, very much. The watery smile he got in return practically melted the Hokage's heart. Yes, I know that now, Jiji. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Now, one last thing before we turn in for the night. While I am willing to let you live here, Naruto-kun, I am not, however, comfortable with the idea of leaving you here alone. You are a couple miles outside of Konoha and even with our village's patrols, you are still more exposed compared to the average person. As such, I have asked that Ikgao and her fiancé, Jekmhaid, move in with you. They've been looking to buy a house together for some time and are quite agreeable to this arrangement. Is that okay with you? Naruto nodded immediately. While it would likely limit some of the freedom he had come to expect from living on his own for so long, it was a small price to pay for living in his parents' home. Plus, he had missed Ikgao and it would be nice to live with her and catch up. Excellent. They will move in tomorrow. Until then, I think it's best we head to bed. You had a busy day after all. I will leave you here to your new home and see you tomorrow for your first mission. Hi. Oh. I almost forgot. Naruto suddenly found a large scroll in his arms. He blinked upon realizing that it was the scroll on Sandbrick the Sandaime had offered him 2 months ago. That is your reward for passing your genin exam and showing me how much you've grown these past 2 months. After all, you can't use Tenyu properly without knowing how to use a sword. Naruto's eyes widened. Thank you, Jiji. The Hokage merely smiled. Have a good night, Naruto-kun. Scene break. Team 7 reporting for their first mission, Kakashi lazily said from behind his book. Standing at attention beside him were his 3 new genin, though 2 of them found their attention constantly drawn toward the beautiful sword strapped at Naruto's hip. The Hokage, despite noticing this, merely chuckled and began browsing through the numerous D-rank scrolls, trying to decide which one would be the best opener for the teen's new life as shinobi. No, keeping that one for Team 10, no, wait no, I don't want the rubber chickens to permanently scar them. Yes, this one could work. A positively evil smile spread across Sarutobi's face as he handed over the chosen mission to Kakashi. With a flick of his wrist, the elite Junin feared all across the elemental nations opened the scroll, scanned the mission details and paled. He didn't thought every other shinobi in the room upon seeing the legendary copy Nin's face. Kakashi whimpered. He did, Hokage-sama, you cruel evil man. Yes. Let's see how they handle her, Sarutobi thought before clearing his throat. Team 7. Your first mission is to catch one of our feudal lord's wife's house cat. Her name is Tora and she was last sighted in the northern forests of our village. Good luck. Hi Kakashi said, his body showing his absolute terror at the task even as his students looked on in open confusion. Let's go, team. We have a cat to catch. Scene break. 3 hours. 3 freaking hours. It had been 3 painful and utterly ridiculous hours since the start of Team 7's first mission. It had taken them an hour just to find the damn cat and at first, the new genin just chalked it up to the cat being especially sneaky. But then they tried to catch it and they met the furry equivalent of an extremely sharp, extremely violent, out-of-control blender. Now, their whole bodies ached and hurt. Their eyes twitched in anger and possibly a touch of insanity. Every inch of their clothes had been either scratched, torn, or dirtied in some form or fashion. But they did not give up. They would not give in. And only one thing sang clear in their heads. That cat must die. Crack. Oh shit. Sasuke. Dodge. Boom. How the fuck did it cut down a tree? Who cares? Sakura. On your left. Shanro. The forest floor was littered with weapons, scorch marks, and destroyed plant life, and despite the ridiculous amount of destruction the 3 genin had attempted to inflict upon their target, Taurus somehow emerged from it all unscathed. Even now, the cat was avoiding every thrown kunai and shuriken Sakura threw at her. Hold still and let me skin you alive, you evil furball. Pain. Nkakik no jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique. Seat Rick. Tanjiri, holy sword style. Celestial slash. The blazing fireball and a crescent of holy energy suddenly came from 2 sides with the clear intent to kill. But despite its surprise element and strategic layout, Taurus somehow dodged the attack and yowled mockingly at the perpetrators. Damn it. How does it keep avoiding our attacks? Naruto cursed, jumping down from the treetops with Sasuke to land beside Sakura. The Pincat was currently panting heavily, having exhausted all her weapons, and was now left with giving the incarnation of primordial evil the stink eye. Naruto. The blonde glanced at Sasuke to show that he was listening. You said you can cook, right? He nodded. You wouldn't happen to know how to cook Demon Cat, would you? The positively evil smile spread across Naruto's face as Kakashi, who was watching everything from the treetop several yards away, shivered. I don't, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing some experiments. I have some basic ingredients on me so we can start testing dishes immediately. Sakura immediately picked up on the slightly insane mood. Hehena, would you let me skin it, Naruto? Of course, Sakura-chan. And Sasuke can do the roasting with his Kaiten ninjutsu. Just you wait, you despicable furball. I will burn you into a crisp before this mission is over. Naruto had actually stopped and taken out a shichirin, a portable charcoal cooking stove that looks a lot like a grill top strapped to a bucket or box, from one of his storage scrolls. He had a pair of tongs in one hand and tenyu in the other, ready to slice, dice, and any other kind of cooking that would inflict pain upon the evil creature. I think that's my cue to butt in, Kakashi thought, leaping down and nabbing the cat before his insane kids could go through with their plan. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's go report back to the Hokage. But Kakashi-sensei. Don't you want to know what grilled devil cat tastes like? Nope. What about fried? Naruto asked, taking out a deep fryer from somewhere. No, Naruto. Boiled? He asked, holding up a pot already filled with bubbling water. How did why never mind? Just no. Roasted? Is that a portable oven? Stir-fried? No, Naruto. And put that wok away. How about skinned, tenderized, marinated in sake, soy sauce and vinegar, seasoned with salt, pepper, dill, crushed garlic and rosemary, lightly braised and then baked in the oven for an hour with mixed vegetables and sliced apples. No, loath as he is to admit it, that did sound good. Really good. Kakashi raised a now terrified cat and stared at it long and hard, as if seriously considering Naruto's offer. Sasuke and Sakura both leaned in, looking hopeful that their teacher would take their teammate's offer so that they could assist in the preparation and cooking. Unfortunately for them, Kakashi's sense of duty won out. Nope. Sorry, kids. It's bad form to fail your first mission. All 3 hung their heads while a certain cat let loose an audible sigh of relief. Come on, team. Let's report back to the Hokage. Hi. Scene break. You seem disappointed you weren't allowed to cook the cat, Naruto-kun. That's because I am. Did you see the destruction it caused? I mean, what kind of house cat can cut through a tree trunk that's 6 feet in diameter? Naruto gripped, walking back home from the Hokage tower. He wanted to get started on his sword training as soon as possible, and for that, he needed the Sandbrick scroll he had left behind. The rest of his team had gone their separate ways, either to train or socialize, and the Jinchuriki would not be seeing them until tomorrow for training. Are you sure that monstrosity isn't some bastard cousin of the Nibi or something? Positive, Mijetsu chirped as she sunbathed in the mindscape's many meadows. Believe me, the Nibi would have squashed that pest centuries ago if she knew about it. And then she'd smack you around too for thinking that she and that pest were related. Really? Really? Okay then, I'll be sure to remember that being smacked around by a giant flaming cat was not his idea of a fun afternoon. Nah, does the Nibi have a name too? Yup. All the Bijj have names. But before you ask, I won't tell you what they are. Names have power, especially a demon's name, so you'll have to earn it from each of them. Naruto shrugged. Fair enough. Also, I feel that I should tell you the difference between demons and devils. There's a difference. Yes, there is. In fact, to say that the two are the same is a huge insult to demons everywhere. Oh sorry, Mijetsu-san. It's fine. I know you don't know the difference, which is why I'm doing this, the demon lord said. Now, do you remember what I said about how devils are created? Yeah. You said that they're created from the souls sent to hell. Correct. Devils are all souls that are corrupt and irredeemable. They have committed heinous crimes and feel no remorse for what they've done. They eventually transform into devils to reflect their inner darkness, Mijetsu said. Demons, however, are different. We are souls that have committed crimes but can still be redeemed. In the purgatory, souls are given many different paths for redemption, but one of them is to serve the gods as soldiers. Any soul that chooses that option is transformed into a demon. As you can imagine, shinobi often pick this path. Naruto's eyes widened at this new information. If that's true, then why are demons considered evil by mortals? It's a combination of different things. For one, not all demons end up being redeemed. Quite a few have failed their trials and became devils. Additionally, our dark pasts and purpose as soldiers makes us more violent than our angelic counterparts. If it comes to a fight, we won't hesitate to jump in. We also take the forms of monstrous creatures to better combat devils. Fight fire with fire, if you will. Surely those can't be the only reasons. You're learning. Good, Mijetsu said approvingly. Yes, you are right. The main reason why we are still considered to be evil by mortals is a test by the gods. If we are truly to be redeemed, then we must be able to handle all the disgust and hatred mortals throw at us and rise above it. That being said, only those who have reached a certain point in their cleansing can enter the mortal world, though some do escape on occasion. So what about you then? Naruto asked. You called yourself a demon lord. Is that any different? Oh, yes. For one, demon lords were created by Kami-sama and the other greater gods. Our purpose is to serve as not only the general of the demon armies, but also as judges of the redeemable. We are the ones who make the initial decision of whether or not a soul has been cleansed of its sins and is worthy to enter heaven. It's why we possess the ability to sense negative emotions, something you have begun to develop yourself, and that brings me to my next point. What's that? As you know, part of the agreement we made was that I'd lend you my power should the situation call for it. Now while your body has adapted to the minute flow of demonic chakra I unconsciously release, getting a larger dosage may prove too much for you to handle without getting a feel for it too. Okay, so what will happen? Increase strength, speed, senses, reactions, and overall power. You'll also feel heightened emotions. Demonic chakra contains our very essence and we experience everything to a higher degree than you mortals. So whatever you're feeling the moment you access my chakra, it'll be magnified tenfold. So if I'm say angry, then I'll go absolutely berserk. Yes, at least for now. Wonderful. If in time, your body and mind will adapt and you'll be able to retain your sense of reason when you access my power. Well that's good to hear. So, since I'm feeling calm now, I shouldn't experience much in the way of heightened emotions, right? Correct, which is why I want to start. Sounds like a plan, Naruto agreed, sitting in the open meadows near his home. Alright, Mijetsu-san. I'm ready. Brace yourself, Naruto-kun. The feeling was primal. An exhilarating rush of power suddenly coursed through him and Naruto felt stronger than ever before. He felt as if he could run faster than the Yondaime, that he was more powerful than a locomotive, and that he could leap over the Hokage monument in a single bound. The man of steel. Wait, sorry, wrong story. Okay, good. You're getting a feel for my powers. However, I'm still suppressing the heightened senses. You're lucky it's so quiet out here, otherwise you'd be in a world of hurt once I let them through. Either way, it's going to be disorienting, so tell me when you're ready. I'm ready, Mijetsu-san, Naruto said, steeling himself. And then it hit him. It could only be called an assault on the senses. It was as if the world had been muddled and only now did things become clear. His eyes, they had become so sharp. Like that of a hawk. He could see so much further into the distance and literally count the individual wingbeats of a buzzing bee nearby. His sense of touch had also been enhanced. He knew that there was a family of deer nearby and could feel the faint tremors from each step they took in the earth. He could also hear the bustle of the village, despite it being 2 miles away, and wait was that. And that smell. It smelled like. Naruto, that was a kid crying. And I smell blood. Get your ass moving. Now. Naruto was off like a rocket. His enhanced body turned everything around him into a blur as he sped off toward the direction of the sound and smell. And what he saw upon arriving made him see red and had Mijetsu screaming bloody murder in his head. There in the clearing, standing in a circle, was a small group of villagers and shinobi, each of them holding either common kitchen knives or copper pipes. And in the middle of the circle was a dead family of foxes and a small beaten boy who had valiantly tried to protect them. He seemed unconscious now, but in a last-ditch effort, he had thrown his beaten body over the last of the foxes, a small orange-brown kid, in a valiant attempt to protect it from the attacking villagers. "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" Naruto roared, jumping down with his holy sword drawn. The villagers jumped at the unexpected intrusion, but their faces turned sour upon seeing who it was. "You. It's the demon. How'd he find us out here?" "Who cares? You want to know what we're doing, demon?" A villager sneered, stepping forward confidently. "We're getting rid of your kind. Any and all supporters you have, we're wiping them out. I don't know what you did to that child, but he's protecting the demons, and for that, he'll die too. Yeah. And after that, we're going to kill you, kyuubi," another villager shouted. The rest of the group cheered in agreement only to fall silent as unreal killing intent washed over the area. It was suffocating, powerful, and made them feel like insignificant insects standing before the boot that was about to crush them. And all that power came from one source and was visible even to the civilians. Wisps of gold and white chakra tinged with fiery red swirled around the Jinchuriki as he began to silently stalk toward them. And then, he vanished. Where'd he go? Did he run? Shit, we can't let him escape. If he gets to the Hokage, we're screwed. We broke the law. Then we'll hunt him down and kill him. But first, we have to get rid of this garbage, one villager said, raising his knife to kill the defenseless boy at his feet, only to see that the child and the fox kid had disappeared. "To dare attack an innocent child, is your hatred so strong that you refuse to see the truth before you?" Naruto's voice seemingly echoed all around them, and not even the shinobi among them, who were just low-ranked chunin, could find him. "Show yourself, demon," a villager yelled angrily. "Forget him," another ordered. "Let's just get out of here and report to the Hokage. If we do things right, we can get the demon brat executed." "You think so?" an elderly voice suddenly asked. A chill went down the group's spine. They knew that voice. Turning slowly, they beheld the Sandaime Hokage standing alongside the village's Jinchuriki and a squadron of Anbu. The child and fox kit they had previously been beating on were being held protectively in Naruto's arms. And the look on Sarutobi's face was grave and murderous. As punishment for the crimes of revealing an S-rank secret, the attacking of an innocent and defenseless child, and the intent to lie to your Hokage, all of you are hereby sentenced to death. Anbu. Kill them. Hi, Hokage-sama. No. But it was far too late. The Anbu were the elite of the elite, consisting of Konoha's best and finest soldiers. A group of civilians and low-ranking chunin didn't stand a chance, and within mere seconds, they had all been viciously cut down, much to their horror and disbelief. And through it all, Naruto forced himself to watch. This was the cruel reality of being a shinobi. And it also exemplified what the Jinchuriki wanted to stand for. To fight for the innocent. To protect them from the horrors of this world. "You did the right thing, Naruto-kun," the Hokage said, watching stonily the last of the sentenced fell. "Despite your growth these past couple months, fighting two chunin and several civilians while trying to protect the child and fox kid would have proven too much for you. Sending a clone to alert me was the smart thing to do in this situation. I couldn't afford to be direct with these two in danger," Naruto said, looking at the injured boy and the fox kid. Now that he was up close and no longer faced with enemies, the Jinchuriki could see that the boy was only 3 or so years of age. He was dark-skinned, similar to the natives of Kumo, with shocking white hair and a painfully thin body covered in rags. And yet, despite his frailty and current state of unconscious, he still held the fox kid protectively in his arms. "What should we do with him?" Naruto found himself asking. "That depends. I recognize the child. His name is Isamu." Naruto smiled. Fitting. He definitely showed a lot of courage today. Indeed, he did. Unfortunately, Isamu here is an orphan. Why he is so far from the village, I can only guess, and none of them are good explanations. Because of his appearance and suspected parentage, Isamu has been bullied by many of the other orphans and treated badly by the matrons. The Hokage suddenly gained a very weary look. "I've tried to curb their behavior, but there's only so much I can do, and Isamu isn't the only one in the village in need of help." The Jinchuriki looked up at his surrogate grandfather in surprise. Sure, he knew that the job of being the Hokage was difficult, but Naruto had no idea how limiting it could also be. But at the same time, it was understandable too. Sarutobi was just one man trying to handle all the problems and responsibilities of the country. There were bound to be some things that slipped through that he simply did not have the time to deal with. Such is life, I suppose, Naruto thought, looking down once more at the fox and the boy. What do you want to do, Naruto-kun? The kyuubi asked. I think you know what I'm planning on doing. A large smile spread across the demon goddess's lips. Yes, I do. It's your nature, after all. But I just wanted to be sure. You'll help, right? Of course, Naruto-kun. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you. Naruto looked back up at the Hokage. Gigi. Do you think I could adopt them? Thump. Sarutobi's jaw slammed into the ground and his eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. And had the Anbu not been wearing masks, they would have been mirror images of their Hokage. Hey, are you sure, Naruto-kun? The elderly shinobi asked. Adopting the fox kid is one thing, but raising a young child as well is an enormous responsibility. And you're only 13. Naruto frowned. The Hokage raised a good point. His shinobi career was only just starting. He'd undoubtedly be spending long periods of time outside of the village completing missions, unable to bring the child or the fox kid with him. But at the same time, he didn't want the child to suffer as he did as an orphan. In short, there was no choice. Gigi. I am partially responsible for this fox's family. And by extension, the boy was put into danger simply for wanting to protect them. What kind of shinobi? No, what kind of person would I be if I refused to take responsibility simply because I thought it would be too much work? Naruto looked back down at the two orphans. Besides, I feel a connection to the two of them. They are alone in this world now, just like how I was. I wouldn't wish my childhood on anyone, and if it's within my power to help, I will. He looked back up at the Hokage. Please, Gigi, let me do this. They need me as much as I need them. Never had Sarutobi felt more proud of his surrogate grandson than he did now. Very well, Naruto-kun. I will allow it, but you will be under strict observation to ensure that the child and the fox kid are well taken care of. Hokage-sama. The two turned to see Ikao standing before them, a hopeful look on her face. Hokage-sama, since Hayate and I are to live with Naruto-kun, we will also gladly care for the child as well. A soft smile spread across the Anbu's face. We've always wanted a child, but certain circumstances. She touched her abdomen. This may be our chance. We could even adopt him given Naruto-kun's age and status as a Jinchuriki. Now that sounds like a splendid idea. The Hokage exclaimed. I will prepare the necessary paperwork to formalize the adoption. With any luck, the process shouldn't take more than a couple days. However, I'll need to register the fox kid as your companion, Naruto-kun. Is that alright? The boy nodded. Excellent. Oh, and for the paperwork, do you wish to give the little one a name? Naruto thought for a moment, his mind quickly going through dozens of names, though none of them seemed to fit. Any suggestions, Mijetsu-san? Mijetsu-san? Hitomi. Huh? That was the name my mate and I wanted for our first daughter. Her voice sounded so horribly sad that it tore at Naruto's heart. I know it might be a long time before you can be with him again, but at least, until then, you can help me and Ikao-san raise her. Yes, I would like that. You'll see him again soon, Mijetsu-san. That's a promise of a lifetime, Naruto thought, feeling a strange twinge in his own heart at that statement, but he quickly dismissed it. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Now why don't you finish things up with the Hokage and take those two home? I'm sure they could use the rest. Oh, you're right, Naruto thought, looking up at the Hokage and Ikao, both of whom had been waiting patiently for the boy to speak. Hitomi, he said. Her name is Hitomi. And from this day on, I will protect her and Isamu with my life. What if Naruto trained by female Shinigami and Angel? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.